get into the flow of things.
Okay.
Nice. How's everyone doing in Stremland?
Well, let's find out. We will know in, I don't know, like 5-10 seconds when my stream actually goes live goes live to people because of a dumb Twitch delay that meh.
Ah, alas.
Hello, Shinshiro. Welcome to my stream.
Hi.
Hello, myself.
And hello, Corona. Welcome to the stream.
Is that one of us or another person?
Nah, that's another person.
Cool.
He's here for at least
Wow.
most of the streams.
I've
Ooh.
been waiting there a while.
What can I say? We put on a good show.
I don't know. I think we put on a show.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That statement is not incorrect.
Some may even call it correct.
Yep.
Only some.
This is some series of unfortunate events level banter right here.
Yeah, I need Lemony Snicket to come in and I don't know.
Well, so
Say
far
some
I'm doing better
stuff.
than last week.
It's true.
Yeah, your mic sounds beautiful.
Can we
Yeah.
get can we get Patrick Warburton to come in here and do narration of our campaign as Lemony Snicket?
I would love that, but unfortunately, the budget was used up on those Wheaties I ate. So
Ah, man, yeah.
Darn.
yeah. Next funding cycle, though, definitely.
I wonder where Dave is.
I
Hey,
don't know,
stream,
being a Dave.
Sorry if I go quiet for
He's got
a
like
few
kids
seconds
and stuff,
in the middle of the night.
right?
I'm having
So
an
I think
upset
maybe
tummy all day, so
doing
I will
parental
mute myself as to not
nonsense.
belch violently into the mic.
At least I think.
So I went to a pretty raging party last night.
Oh yeah.
I may or may not have woken up still tight, slightly tipsy this morning.
Oh, excellent.
It was a good party.
I thought that you were gonna it was gonna end up like being a sarcastic story, and the party was actually gonna have been quite lame. But I'm glad to hear that it was actually good.
It was.
Yep, I thought so too.
Tis
Hey,
a
Dave.
Davo.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Wake up. I was not napping, though it would have been nice to nap.
Hello, Chris Lower. Welcome to the stream. It's good to have
Well,
you
you
here.
took a little bit. Oh, 1 minute.
I kept you guys waiting for that a minute. I know it was
Yep.
a pain for all.
It was an enormous, egregious stretch of time.
I am so rude.
Kicked from the group.
That would be the funniest reason for getting kicked out of a D&D group ever.
You were 1 minute late. Fuck you, Dave.
You don't respect our time.
This is your first warning, though.
Whoa.
Oh, man. So how are you guys?
Good.
I'm good.
Doing well.
And yeah.
Just a point of courtesy, you're live on Candid Camera. Well, not camera, but Candid Audio.
Everyone is privy to your, I don't know, 3.
Oh well. Oh, I went into the wrong game. Whoops.
Good job.
All right. Something about some eyes. Okay, here we go. I got it.
Yeah, that's the thing with the eyes.
It's okay. Rest assured, you're still not the last one in the room.
No, for some
Oh,
reason,
good.
Clark is.
Oh, nice. Oh, well, you're not late if you're not the latest one.
True.
To
I'm
be
not-
fair, I forgot that that's a thing that I have to get on. My bookmark for the page has disappeared.
Oh no.
Good job.
Oh no, those bookmark gremlins. They'll get you.
So it turns out that if you haven't done push-ups in a really long time and then get drunk and then get into a push-up contest, you end up really sore the next day.
Well, yeah.
It feels as if you speak from personal experience.
Recent experience.
I don't know that I've ever done physical activity when drunk. That's not my
I've never
go-to.
gotten drunk.
I thought you were just gonna stop.
I've never
The
done
sentence.
physical activity. That's what I thought he was
Yeah.
going to say too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah, my friend was showing off his weight room, and I was just like, all right, let's go. Lift some weights, do some push-ups, and my body is now just like, shouldn't have done that.
Well, did you win? I mean, that's the most important thing, right?
No.
Did
No,
you lose first?
You see, he works out on a regular basis, and I was just like, I can take you, let's go. And I could not.
Yeah,
So
that
what-
liquid confidence.
So
And
it
did
could,
he need to drag you home?
Nah.
Is that not as in no or not as in I don't want to say?
No. We were drinking at his place, and I managed to get a ride home safely.
oh lovely. How responsible of you.
Right?
Okay, so is Buddy ready? Have you
Yep.
evacuated your bowels? Have you gained liquid and or solid refreshments?
I have tea and chips.
That is both of those things.
I can go get water, but it's literally like 10 feet away, so.
I have an
Okay.
enormous Diva Stein of water right now.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
I'll post pictures at some point.
Diva, my bae.
I got that shit at Dragon Con.
Ooh, nice. Okay, so we will begin the thing that we do. So, when last we left our heroes, you guys were having a relaxing morning after you had saved Faint's sister, and you were going out for some lovely pastry breakfasts. When you decided to investigate a local bookstore, and you found within several things. One being a half-elf? A Sybil half-elf? Sparkle Brew?
Rip.
Spark, are you there?
We'll just say she's a half-elf for now.
Perfect.
He found a half-elf girl named Sybil, who was the librarian and sort of like a stewardess of this shop. As you were there, searching the archives for information, the store was attacked. Well, Jerry was attacked at the store by some assassins sent by Carmen de la Guerra to finish some business that she had with Jerry from the day before. However, you managed to defeat these assassins. After this conflict, you went to Bastion's tutor, Arcus, and had a lengthy conversation about some of the information you had found in the tunnels below the docks, with what with the vermin cane and the potato eyes.
Oh yeah, my eyes turned into potatoes. Let's not forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mage Armor.
Yeah, man. After this, you retired at Maxwell's behest to his father's estate, where you spent the night and are now. We open our sesh today with the party at the Blackstone Estate. How was your sleep, everybody? Did you have a good sleep?
Yeah, I had pretty good sleep.
Sybil's asleep in the library. She probably got about 4 hours sleep.
Routnez was average.
Jerry's would have been a little troubled sleep. He had some bullet grazed wounds and some other things that were troubling him through the night.
I think mostly scimitars. Since the bullets you dodged all but one.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty dope.
I think before going to sleep, Bastion would have asked Jerry to take his potato eyes and put them in a bowl for safekeeping so they don't get randomly lost or eaten or something.
And Jerry would have put like a cloth over the bowl so it doesn't get dusty. He's not sure what other care instructions he should utilize on these things.
To be fair, neither is Bastion.
You wake up in the morning, Jerry, to find the potatoes unmolested.
Whew.
That's
No
really
molestation checks. That's good.
Well, I mean, none that you saw that I rolled. I gotta make
Yep.
those secret potato molestation checks.
We have a serial potato molester on the loose.
It's a whole chapter in the DMG.
Well, the question is, will we really know if the potatoes were molested or not?
I guess we'll find out when they are back in my face. Maybe.
Speaking of which, is that something that Bastion would be interested in come the morning?
Getting my eyes back in my face? Yes, very much so. As soon as possible.
Okay. You and Rachna find each other.
Alright, so I remember last time knowledge being spread about various places that the potatoes did need to be placed within his eye sockets, otherwise I would have eyes, normal eyes, but they would be outside my face. I remember Bastion not rolling well on this knowledge, and I do not remember if Sybil told him.
I think Spark said that Sybil didn't. She thought this knowledge was so rudimentary that she didn't.
I think
say
that's
it.
fair.
Honestly, though, I think Ragna would have figured that much out.
Okay.
Because the remove curse removes curses. It doesn't teleport things.
That's reasonable. All right. I will take your wisdom higher than mine.
Though the question is, how are we going to get them in there?
So the potatoes are they're like long potatoes, so they can fit in Bastion's weirdly empty eye sockets. They just sort of like stick out a couple inches from his face.
I imagine Bratna trying not to laugh at that.
Is
Oh no! What is this picture you sent, Dave?
It's a site dedicated to types of potatoes.
Oh,
I want to know what exact type of potato this is.
Oh my god. Okay, well,
You don't really
heavens.
have to.
I want to know.
I am nothing if not a thorough dungeon master.
Oh, these are cooked potatoes.
oh, fingerlings, definitely fingerlings.
Are they fingerlings? Okay.
2 to 4 inches long, finger-shaped or oblong.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. They are definitely fingerlings.
Perfect.
Okay, so you put the potatoes back in his eye sockets, trying not to laugh.
Yeah, and then I cast Remove Curse.
Okay, so what does your remove curse spell look like? It's just a touch, I guess. There's no real ritual involved, but is
Nope,
there anything
just touch.
specific you want to add? Cool. So you pray to Clangeddon for the power to lift this magic, and indeed, it is done. You see the potatoes enveloped in a like bluish glow as they change shape before your very eyes, and they turn back into Bastion's very eyes. Rather suddenly, Bastion, your vision comes back to you. You can see Rachna standing before you, and you're in this really rather opulent space.
So Bastion does that thing where, have you ever gone through like a vision test where like they dilate the shit out of your eyes and you do that like eyes go wide, eyes blink thing and like try to like focus your vision again?
Mm-hmm.
Like he does that thing and he's like, oh god, ow, because like it's like waking up in like a very bright room for the first time.
I don't suggest having that happen again.
Well, ow. And here's that light headache. I'm really gonna try not to. Honestly, as much as I can. That was not real fun there.
I don't imagine it is.
So,
There's this. I don't imagine your characters have ever smelt this before, but to us, there is the smell of French fries in the air.
Oh no.
and he's just gonna. That smells delicious. I wonder if we could. That's something to consider later. So, this is Maxwell's place, huh?
Yeah, we're holed up here while we're trying to figure out our next steps. Those were Delaguertas. I don't know whether they're called men or lizard men or something.
Question about your world and I guess specifically the city. Are like non-dragonborn lizard folk a like common, uncommon, very rare, or like non-existent race in your world?
So there are stories about dragon men, i.e., the dragonborn, but they are just stories. They're kind of like boogeymen almost. That said, lizard men are known to live in swamps. And you know, there are certainly stories of other like reptilian folk.
Sure. Okay. Cool. And okay. So Bastion's gonna say, yeah, this and he'll like kind of like walk out to, does this room have like a open air balcony kind of thing, like in the background art, or
Yeah, sure.
sure, he'll like walk out to the balcony, kind of like lean over and look out and be like, yeah, this will definitely be a good place to keep our heads low.
And Jerry will just jump in and sort of lightly tap, like sort of clap Bastion on the back, but like extra gentle, and just be like, "Well, I'm glad we took care of one thing successfully, at least here. You could see okay."
Yeah, everything seems to be fine for now. I'm gonna kind of keep a pay close attention to the situation. Keep my eyes peeled. Wow, that is.
Oh my God, Rockney, you get inspiration forever.
I already have inspiration.
Well, too bad.
RKO out of nowhere.
And there it is. There's the pun we were all looking for.
Yeah, that's.
And I'm ashamed that I missed it for like a solid week.
I feel like I can quit Dungeons and Dragons now.
But yeah, I'll try. I'm gonna keep an eye on the situation to, see if my vision gets any better or worse, or if there's any other weird effects from this. But yeah, vision seems to be working for now.
Oh, that's a relief.
Brian is gonna nod.
And Jerry will turn to Rachna and he'll just sort of, he's like, I hate to ask you this, but he'll sort of like, and he's got like holes in his monk's robes like all over from all the scimitar cuts, and he'll be like, can you and he'll just sort of like hold two pieces of like the falling apart like cloth together. Can you help me out here?
Sure. And mending.
Just before he starts to cast, Bastion will turn and say, Rachna, thank you very much. And then he will quickly, like, walk out of the room.
Cool.
No problem.
Indeed, Jerry, your robes are now the regular amount of tattered.
Nice.
So, Sybil, in the library, you feel a gentle, like, nudge on your shoulder that attempts to rouse you from your slumber.
She'll jolt awake. Yeah. What do I see? Who do I see?
You look up to see there is an elf, the same elf that you saw before that was with your new friends. They called her the Seer? She will say, "This is no place for you to sleep."
Well, I didn't mean to. I found a really interesting book. And with that, she'll slam closed her journal, tuck it into her bag, and kind of stand up and straighten out her skirt she was wearing, which I assume is probably well wrinkled at this point. Yeah, no, actually, it was a long day yesterday. Yeah, it's been a long day.
I assume Maxwell gave you a bed? I have found that they are very comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think they showed me a room. My intention actually was to stay in here for a little bit, then turn into bed. But, when you get carried away with certain things, what's the difference between 30 minutes and 4 hours?
I am still trying to figure that out myself. She says with all seriousness. witness.
Yeah. I'm hungry. Is there anywhere we could get something to eat here? By chance, maybe? Doesn't have to be anything big, just something.
Ah, yes. I will show you to the kitchens. This way.
Okay.
And, yeah, she'll lead you. She makes a pit stop first to pick up the rest of the party. And if you guys will go with her, she is going to go to breakfast.
Sure, absolutely. Bastion will remark on how lovely it is to see her for after all this while.
She smiles and says, "It is good that your sight is returned."
Oh, you got your eyes back. They're not potatoes. Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, this is how they normally are. That potato thing was, really not the norm, I can assure you.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure, but it'd be kind of cool if there was. Also, now I don't have to feel bad about eating potatoes for breakfast.
Oh yeah, no, please be my guest. But I think I think I'm gonna steer clear of that one for at least today. Still feeling a little weird about that.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong, Aaron.
Awesome. Indeed, down in the kitchens, there are like 3 chefs who are busy preparing a breakfast. There is a lovely porridge that they are making that has these very exotic spices in it. It's just the right temperature, neither too hot nor too cold. And of course, there is
Goldilocks joke. Nice.
sick Goldilocks reference.
Straight out of my childhood. Awesome.
Yeah. And of course, the obligatory bacon.
What are we mentioned at the very end of last session, which I was in a state of only half being able to pay attention. There's orcs in. Are these servants all orcs? Do I remember that right?
So one of the 3 chefs is an orc, and you have seen other orcish people working as servants in this estate.
Do they seem like disgruntled, or are they just sort of going about their business?
I mean, they seem pretty going about their business. It doesn't look like they're actively, plotting a rebellion.
Cool. Jerry's just soaking it all in.
Mm-hmm. The food is good, and it is at this time that Maxwell comes down. He's wearing a robe.
A good rebellion is never seen nor heard.
Like
Until it's
children.
too late. Also like children.
Maxwell comes down. Morning. I trust everyone slept well.
Rockno will nod.
Well, the bed was a little softer than I'm accustomed to, but yes, it was very nice. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, eat your fill, please. What is mine is my father's, and what is my father's is yours.
Jerry will just give a chuckle at that, and he is coming from where he's come from. He's very, like, he never imagined himself in a million years in a lord's household, and he almost doesn't really know how to comport or carry himself. He just sort of fidgets uncomfortably in his seat.
Fun fact: Sybil actually is eating properly. Everything you would in a highborn house. So
Nice.
He is
Rachna is eating like rock now.
Yeah.
Bastion looks like he's trying to, but like it's like he's really rusty at it. So like he'll like catch himself like reaching across and then like take his arm back and then ask for it to be passed or something like that.
Oh, of course. Also, that's not the butter knife. It's over there. And she'll like kind of gesture over, kind of like give you a friendly like, right there.
I'll be like, oh, my apologies, and then like reach over and
Note, Rachna was basically raised in the forest. He has no idea how to eat like this. He just eats.
Bastion is definitely trying to remember his table manners, but it's been a while since he's eaten in a proper high society household.
I feel like Sybil would try to like gently tell like Rachna and Jerry, it's like, okay, so you use this fork for the main course. You use this one for the salads. And she'll hold up a weird like instrument. I actually don't know what this one's for. It's, we don't have this. Not at our house, at least. Just kind of banter like that.
Rachna actually does get better at it. And he does follow Sybil's advice,
Nice.
which is somewhat surprising considering his intelligence is -1.
Jerry just looks dumbfounded, like, and he just picks up most things with his hands.
Or that works too. Finger foods.
Maxwell, sort of seeing your apprehension, he says, "Oh, friends, don't worry. I'm certainly not going to judge. Please, just eat however you are comfortable."
Rachna's still going to follow Sybil's advice.
And Maxwell says, taking a big bite of bread, he says, "Oh, so what's the plan? You guys just gonna lay low here for a while, or do you have more important business to attend to?"
Well, actually, I was planning on leaving the city pretty soon, but then, well, situations have arisen, and I think I'm in town for a little bit longer. You guys don't mind if I stick around with you, do you? I don't think I'm gonna be running the shop for a while.
I don't mind.
Bastion will smile and say,
Who knows?
hey, if my eyes turn into potatoes again, I'll need someone to point me in the right direction, yeah? And he'll just give a big toothy grin.
Yep, I can do that at the very least.
Well, welcome to the band of misfits, then. And oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, it's definitely a band of something. And she'll just kind of like smile and laugh. You guys don't seem to be misfits that much, at the very least. You guys came into a bookstore, so I find it hard to believe that anyone comes into a bookstore that's not at least somewhat interesting and good
Just
natured.
kind of look at Bastion.
Bastion will shrug. And say, well, just wait till we get to the next part. Before we get down to brass tacks, Elle, you wanted to go to the, I remember hearing something about you wanting to go to the college for something.
Well, no. I mean, I do, but they can't. Yeah, I'm getting there. So, I kind of got asked to leave the college. Not kicked out. They just politely said that I should take a break.
It sounds as though we should avoid the college then.
Oh no! I mean, you lot might be able to get in. yet, the master of the library probably won't let me in though.
We will keep that in mind if our journey takes us up that way. In the meantime, I believe that we have a meeting with Gaspari to arrange. Yes, gentlemen?
Yes. Business with him. We could meet. We could just try and go up to his haunts in the market, or we could try and get in through his hand man. I remember Aramon said he's living up in the chateaus.
Well, we're in the chateaus, aren't we?
So seems like, and it's a bright sunny morning. We might be able to catch him at home.
And then we walk outside, and it's just rain is pouring down.
Actually, that is a interesting point. Maxwell, would you happen to know where we could find a Vance Shadow Step, I believe?
Well, I've not heard of any Shadow Step family. I will. My father keeps a ledger of local businessmen that he does work with. I will go see if that elucidates anything. He goes off. Do you guys talk about anything in the meantime before he returns?
Jerry will just turn to the group and sort of get serious for a second. He's like, I'm of two minds about what happened yesterday. The one is to go to De La Huerta and break down our door and knock some heads together. The other is to
his knuckles.
The other is to talk to Gaspari and leave the city. I've been reflecting on what my master back at the Abbey would suggest that I do, but I'm of two minds about it. I can't seem to make my mind.
Well, we could do both. We can talk just to Gaspari first, and then visit her.
Excuse me. Wait a second. When you say knock some heads, what do you mean?
Oh, you know that scene back at I'm sure you remember, the scene back at the shop where we were violently accosted. Well, we might be seeing a bit more of that as trouble tends to follow us a bit. Sorry to kind of spring this on you.
No. See, self-defense is one thing. I don't think that starting another fight would solve much.
Well, we're not the ones who started it.
No.
Well...
Okay, so I assume that the return that was the retaliation to Jerry's disrespect at Al's office.
That seems like
right. Yeah. I don't know that, or Elle doesn't know that, but it's just a thing that I was thinking. That I was like, yeah, that's probably what it is. But well, I understand that. I mean, but at the same time, this Gaspari fellow, he can help you with this problem?
Well, Gaspari and I, we go way back. He, I don't think he's the one to really help any of us. He will make deals with us, but I don't know if help's the right word to use in reference to Gaspari ever, really.
And honestly, it sounds like he trades in favors, and I mean, if it helps save our skin, or if it helps keep De La Guerra off our backs, and also can help us with what we need to ask from Gaspari, then it's kind of killing two birds with one stone.
At that, Maxwell comes back into the dining room, and he says, "Well, I have not found any merchant or noble families by the last name Shadowstep, but I get the feeling that, well, and judging by past experience, that you are dealing with some less savory folk. And there is a house that was recently bought by some, well, they pretended to be merchants, but I know otherwise. My father sold this house to them a couple months back. It is likely where your Vance Shadowstep lives."
Well, at least that is a place for us to start. If we want to try a more diplomatic route to finding Gaspari.
Diplomacy tends to be a good way to solve problems. Much better than killing them.
Much better than things like fireballs.
Jerry doesn't know.
Oh yeah, I guess
Sometimes.
it might. I guess Jerry might have thought that was Bastion that did that.
As I have in fact cast fireball in front of you before.
Yeah, so I'll take that back. So Jerry just sort of like stands up, stretches out, rolls his shoulders, sort of checks and makes sure his sword's with him, and says, "Well, gentlemen and gentle lady, are we ready to depart?"
Sounds good to me. Bastion stands up and goes to retrieve his effects.
Rotna nods and stands. He's already ready to go.
Cool. You guys bid farewell to Maxwell. He says that, at any time, if you need a place to hang low, his estate is open to you any time. He doesn't think his father will be back for at least a week, possibly longer. So you leave the Blackstone estate and you start making your way through the Chateau district. It is lovely up here. I mean, you've been here through lots recently in the past day, but in the morning especially, it's quite a spectacle, considering also that the Midsummer Festival is tomorrow. So there is a buzz to the city, this sort of latent excitement, which just sort of is humming through the city streets. Takes you about maybe 20 minutes or so to find the address that Maxwell gave you, but you turn a corner and you find a smaller estate, smaller than the Blackstone estate. It has like a simple iron fence around it. It appears only 2 stories tall. And it seems pretty like not lived in terribly. You can tell that the gardens are only tended as minimally as possible to sort of keep up with the neighborhood. And out in front of the gate, there are 2 figures, 2 women, just sort of both wearing breastplates with long swords and shields at their side. They are just sort of standing guard out by the front gate.
It's awful plain for the neighborhood. I mean, but I assume that this is where we're supposed to be.
Seems like it.
All right, Sybil will turn around and just walk straight up to the gate. Hello.
Ragna follows.
The two guards, one a little taller than the other, they just sort of give you a look. They don't say anything back.
Do they look like they're part of the Velvet Guard, or do they just look like hired hands?
They look like hired hands. They're not wearing Velvet Guard uniforms.
I'm sorry to bother you. I know you two are probably very busy, but I actually got turned around. I'm looking for the college library. I think it's somewhere around here. Can you show me the way, please, or at least point me in the right direction?
The slightly shorter of the two women just sort of like, she picks up her hand and just sort of points and like gestures with her chin down the street to your left and just says, down there a few blocks.
Thank you. And Sybil will kind of walk backwards back towards the party. I assume that unless they walk right up with me.
Ragna did.
Oh.
Jerry would have hung back a little bit, and he would have just sort of halted in his tracks when you said the thing about the library, and he would have just like pursed his lips and just like sort of with like a let's see where this is going look on his face.
I think Bastion would be doing roughly the same thing, like right beside Jerry, and just be like, let's see where this goes.
So Sybil walks back to Jerry and I assume like you're around a corner or something out of immediate eyesight, not eyesight, out of immediate eyesight. So
Yeah.
She walks back and she's like, well, I learned nothing.
Ragna's
Yes.
still there. So,
Yeah.
is this the Hound's advanced shadow step?
The guards look at you and they say, no.
Is that no as in no, or no as in go away?
Both.
At this point, Bastion, I think, nah, I think he'll stay where he's at. Come to think, second thought,
Does Jerry know like a call sign or anything for Gaspari's crew or anything from his past in that organization?
Totally, yeah. Jerry speaks Thieves' Cant, so he would be able to communicate, with all the rogues of the city.
Jerry would just look at Bastion and just said, oh, I'm going to try something. I don't know how this is going to go, but it's worth a shot. And he'll sort of go around the corner and pull off his hood so his sort of face is in full view. And in Thieves' Camp, he'll just say, we're trying not to look conspicuous, but we really need to see Advanced Shadow Step as soon as possible.
start flashing gang signs.
The slightly shorter of the two guards, her eyebrow sort of raises, and she says, back in Thieves' Cant, she says, "Oh, yeah? And who's asking?"
An old friend of Gaspari's, Jerry Fazzini.
"One moment, Mr. Fazzini. and the shorter of the two guards unlocks the gate and goes inside the abode.
Ragna has absolutely no idea what's going on.
Yeah, so how I imagine Thieves' Cant to be is it's not like a separate language, it's just like code, right? So
Yeah, it's basically small talk with keywords mixed in, I think.
totally, yeah. So
Basically something like, hey, nice weather out. And then just they walk in and Ratna is confused.
yeah, it's very difficult for passersby to, obviously know about the shady dealings going on when you're talking Thieves' Cant. About, I don't know, a minute or so later, the guard comes back out and says, yeah, Vance is in. What do you need to see him about?
I got a proposal for him and Gaspari.
That's very interesting, Mr. Fizzicini. When I said your name, Vance seemed surprised. Should I be concerned?
No, I've left the gang. He needs to fear no harm from me or my friends over here. And he'll sort of like motion to the group behind him.
Also, Ratna moves back to behind Jerry,
Okay.
basically acting as the armored person behind them.
Excellent. The taller of the two guards says, Mr. Fizzini, if you're going to be bringing little girls with you on your important gang-related business, best not to have them be the front man.
To be fair, I just walked off before he said anything. I'm not little.
I thought I was talking about Bastion for a second.
Before he specifies about front men, you can hear Bastion say under his breath, rude.
Jerry will just say, well, looks can be deceiving.
She just sort of shrugs, and the shorter of the two guards opens the gate and allows you passage past. She shows you into the foyer of the house, which is much less grandiose than the Blackstone estate. This place looks like it hasn't been dusted in a while. There's like a cracked mirror to one side of the foyer. And I guess especially to Bastion, and I guess maybe to Sybil, it definitely looks like both the architecture and the decorations are about 20 years past sort of the current Valdore standards.
This is awful, and not in like an antique sort of way. Yes, I know it hasn't been dusted in here. It's gross.
And the guard shows you to a sitting room off to the side of the foyer. And she says, wait here. Mr. Shadowstep will see you momentarily.
Thank you.
Ragna will stand near the door.
So there's a really nice like bay window in this room. There are several nice couches. It looks like this room is a little... It's exactly what I thought too. Bay window. It looks like this room is the sort of most well kept. Perhaps Vance does a lot of business in this room, particular play. There's wine and cheese and bread sort of set out for your pleasure.
Jerry wouldn't be grabbing anything.
Okay. And like just enough time passes where you start thinking like, is he gonna come? But almost as if he planned it that way. Just when you start thinking this is taking too long, the door opens and you see an elf walk in with long blonde hair, wearing very nice attire, a very like a very sharp suit. You can see that he carries 2 short swords hung at his waist, kind of a odd pairing, a fancy suit and these weapons, but it is nonetheless. He steps in the room and says, "Huh. Well, by fex, if it isn't Jerry Fazzini."
Did you miss me?
Sure, because he has swords.
Well, can't say I missed you, but I'm certainly interested to see why you're crawling back after all this time.
Well, me and my friends come from the town of, and what was the town we started in again?
Orez.
Orez. Thank you. And we came from Orez, and we have a proposition for Mr. Gaspari. I know well enough that if you want to make a proposition to the boss, you got to go through the right channels. So we're here to talk to you first.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, friend, if I can call you that. He says, "Please sit down." And he goes over to a chair and he pulls an end table out, like into the middle of the room for him to put his feet up on. And he says, "I appreciate the courtesy. Most folks, if they had a grudge and wanted to see the boss, well, I'd get a body dumped on my doorstep or something. But you always were a classy guy."
Listen, Vance, I gotta. You probably heard by now the doings at their Esperanza headquarters, right?
Oh yeah. Oh boy, did I hear about that.
And he'll sort of motion his arms around him and say, "Well, you probably heard reports of a armored figure and a ragtag group that pulled off the heist of the century at the joint."
Just as
Crystal
Jerry's talking,
and
as Ragna goes up to close the door, Vance is like, "I like the breeze. Leave it open."
Fine. And he'll go back to standing right next to the door, arms crossed.
Vance goes back to Jerry. He's like, "Yeah, I heard there was some talk of some ragbag group of nobodies who came in, blitzed the place, and then left without a word." He sort of looks around, seeing like this heavily armored fellow, and looks at you, Jerry. Obviously, he's like measures you up as like having some skill. He's like, "You wouldn't happen to know who those folks were, do you?"
And I think Jerry would just nod at Bastion and just say, "Hey, Bastion, why don't you tell him how it went down?"
You catch Bastion and he has like a hunk of cheese just like halfway in his mouth. He's like, "Oh, he's just like, yeah. So turns out that the Esperanza state wasn't as as secure as they thought it was. If a small group, not unlike ourselves, could sneak in and uh, cause a little mayhem. Maybe take out a few of their members that were causing us and maybe your boss some trouble.
There were also dragons.
There were dragons?
Baby dragons.
God. This is wild. Why did you let me do this? Why'd you let me do this? Why'd you let me do this? Do it. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. No, it's not. Nope.
I love the dichotomy here. Like, we've got Bastion and Jerry being all trying to be smooth and be like, not like outright say it was you, but then Rock just like, yeah, it was us. We killed a bunch of dragons. So I was like, dragons? What? Like, I clearly wasn't there. Right? It's like Vance is a little like, huh? Like, what's with these guys?
Very
Guessing.
cohesive group of very cohesive group.
Yeah.
And Jerry will just sort of we'll just say sort of start talking when Elle sort of spins off into sort of like talking to herself land, and say, try and sort of grab Vance's attention again and say, well, way we see it, Gaspari owes us a slight favor for that, and we've come here to collect on that.
You see Vance, he's sort of like biting the inside of his cheek, clearly thinking. And he reaches over and pours himself a glass of wine and like sort of twirls it around in the glass, taking way longer than he reasonably should to answer this question. Clearly enjoying building the tension. And he says, well, for a group like that to get in and root out one of Esperanza's holds, as well as, and he sort of like winks, as well as they did, yeah, I think the boss would like to meet a group like that.
Well, we're looking to possibly set something up here. We need to, I haven't been around for a long while. Before I show my face, I want to be sure it's not going to cut up again, and it'll just sort of like point to one of the scars.
Vance just kind of goes, I guess that would be a good idea. And he sort of leans in. He's like, hey, so I kind of came in. We didn't overlap too much in our tenures, but I heard a lot of stories about you, Jerry. What should I believe about the man who fled the gang?
Well, I try not to put much stock in what other people say. So what I will say is the worst of them are true and the best of them are true.
Ha! Very well.
Sybil very slowly, and very cautiously kind of raises her hand like she's in class. You lot have said gang and boss, and I'm not dumb. Are you guys a crime gang?
Vance, just with all seriousness, says, no, absolutely not.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so, yep, I definitely didn't research what I was getting into. All right, well, I'm here, so that's cool. Yep, all right, that's fine.
And Vance kind of comes over with a big smile on his face, and he stands up and he stands over you, and he sort of puts his face like a little close to yours, not super close, but just leans in a bit, and he says, "Does that scare you?"
No, not really. I just I'm a little uncomfortable at the very least. She kind of like adjusts her glasses a bit. Um, honestly, I've never been. This is my first outing as a adventurer. So, yeah, sorry. I'll be quiet, I promise.
He sort of leans over to Jerry. Is that what you're calling yourself these days? Adventurers? Gang life not adventurous enough for you, Jerry?
You know why I left.
I mean, I heard the stories. So, well, look, no point bantering about all what's past, eh? Look, if you want to see the boss, I'll write a missive for you. And he goes and he just grabs a scrap of paper from the side. He writes a quick little message for you. Signs it, and he sort of folds it up and tosses it over to you.
Jerry will try and catch it out of the air.
You say pry if you want to make a dexterity check. It'll be easy. Oh yeah,
With a
very
flourish.
practiced, indeed.
And
Vance,
and Jerry will just say, "Thanks, Vance. I can't lie. I hope our paths don't cross again."
And Vance is just like, you know, Jerry. He sort of sighs. He says you were one of the last good ones. There's not too many in the gang nowadays like you used to be. People still talk about you. It's the legends, Jerry Fazzini, get floated around every now and then among some of the newer recruits. Let's just say play your cards right, and boss might be glad to have you back. That's all I'm saying.
Jerry will just sort of nod, not wanting to say the things that led him into getting into trouble with De La Huerta. He's trying to be a little more pacifist.
Well, you'll find the boss at the Red Cross Saber down in the Red Market. He usually takes supper there, hangs out for a while, watches some of the fights.
Well, let's go and see the boss. And Jerry will stand up and get ready to leave if everybody else is ready as well.
Bastion will get up
Ryan
and
will nod.
Bastion will get up and turn to Vance and say, "Thank you very much for your time, sir," before heading out.
And Vance will stick out his hand to Jerry.
Jerry will shake it and just say, "Be well and just something to think about. Sometimes the more profitable road is the harder one, the one less traveled, and the one that leads to less coin.
It looks like he's about to say something, but then he just sort of laughs to himself and shakes his head. And he says, I'll just let the past be the past then. And he sort of just gives you a nod and then sort of like shoos you out.
Prime Day or not, it was really nice meeting you. Bye.
Also, Ratna will be the last out of the room.
Okay.
And so, you guys want to go see the boss?
All right.
Yeah, it feels like it's about that time, yeah?
So I was thinking about what we ask, and really the only thing I think we want is just have him lay off the shopkeep in Orez, right?
That's my ask. I'm not sure if anyone else has anything they want to request.
No, but are we going to go after the Five Knives person? I don't remember their name.
Was this the guy we just met with? Did he work with the ones that shot up my store?
No. Different
No.
group.
There's another group in town. It's the and wait, is it the Six Knives or the Five Knives? I was thinking
The 5.
the five. Oh, that's right, Five Knives Burger and Fries.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you keep
and who
adding
was
an
the
extra
person?
knife.
I keep doing that. So Jerry will just sort of like brain dump to L, like sort of the different criminal underground factions in the city, and he'll just sort of like be like, well, you know, Gaspari's gang is just one of a few gangs in the city. There's Esperanza, which runs the slavers, and then De La Guerta, who runs the Five Knives. The Five Knives are a real piece of work. They're the ones that shot up your store, and I mean, we could just try and basically, Gaspari's got a protection racket on this really nice shopkeeper out in Orez, and you know, really, we just want to get him to lay off of her, and I'm not sure what we do about De La Guerta. I mean, what do you guys want to do about it?
Well, she sent people after us, so why don't we go after her?
I mean, after me, right? You know, like, you guys don't have to get involved in all that.
And you're sure this is beyond talking? Again, if it can be helped, I don't think we should just search and destroy people. They're still people at the end of the day, right? They can be reasoned with.
I would say that about almost every person I'd meet, except for the members of the Five Knives. I don't know that they're the talking type, especially, well, I've got family business with them.
Well, to be perfectly fair, I don't know the whole story, so maybe while we're walking to see Gaspari, right? You guys can fill me in on at least the highlights of what the hell is going on here?
I think that I think that Bastion would, step up and while we're walking be like, start out with the story of Orez and how we got sidetracked at Vert Hollow and met Faint, and then kind of go on talking about Faint and his sister and how we kind of got tangled up all in the how we've ended up sort of instigating a mob war in the city.
Well, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot. Oof. Well, I'm not deterred. This is definitely going to make an interesting story to tell. Doesn't sound like they're much of the talking type, especially after what happened yesterday and the weird snake thing. Honestly, though, it sounds like they're just after Jerry. Jerry, do you have really any ties to the city now?
Well, I grew up in this place, and I used to. I mean, Gaspari took me in when I didn't really have a home anywhere else, and he gave me a place to be, and me and my brother, we felt like big men around town for a long time. The stories Vance, if I heard what Vance said 3 years ago, I would have been hopping for joy. I would have been telling large tales to go along with it. But these days, the whole thing just makes me sick to my stomach. I lost my brother because of the business, and I can't. I don't want you guys to get caught up in that too. I know De La Guerta's after me, and I know she's the one responsible for my brother's death, but you know, maybe I'm responsible too. I'm the one that pushed him into it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure what's better to just leave it be, talk to Gaspari, get the heck out of town, or go back and face my past.
A week.
What was that?
You still need to be in town for another week.
Why?
To exorcise a demon.
Oh,
Demon?
you want to? Well,
Huh.
there's Blackstaff's dad, who he's always talking about.
Yeah.
Well, we found out he made like a demonic pact to gain wealth, but his soul is forfeit. I don't know if you know anything about those kind of pacts.
No, I don't have the faintest idea about those packs. Does he gain money from it or something?
Damn
Nice.
It doesn't matter because I wasn't lying.
it. Okay.
She
then.
doesn't know anything.
Yeah, she's just a warlock.
Yeah, the game within the game is trying to poke at Elle's backstory subtly.
Best kind.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Jerry will just say, I don't know, Rachna. We could do that, or I mean, you want to stick around?
You promised we'd help.
Gerald just look at sort of Bastion as they're walking, just give him a sideways glance. I mean,
Bastion,
what do you want to get to?
Bastion shrugs and says, "We promised we'd help, and you know me, I'm all about that."
So we will likely also need to take care of De La Guerta.
Well,
Or
I
at
don't
least
know.
keep our heads low in the next few days.
We don't seem to be very good at that.
Well, you're not wrong.
Well, I mean, maybe Gaspari knows a weakness. Maybe he knows where she hangs out, and he'll just sort of like catch himself, like it's like he finds his like his thoughts tracking back like sort of similar paths that it's taken in the past, like strategizing how to take somebody out. And I'll just say, we could catch her with a few bodyguards. I mean, she travels around by herself. We cut the head off the monster, and then we don't have to sleep with one eye open.
Still sounds an awful lot like murder to me.
You saw what they did to the front of your shop.
Yeah, but if we did that
They already attempted murder.
again, though, but then we would stoop down to their level. Have you brought any of this to the attention of the guards at all?
The guards in
Might
the city
actually
are
want to do that
worthless.
at some point.
I just imagine Rockna and Jerry saying both of that at the same time. Did I hear you, Rockna, that you said maybe we might have to do that at some point?
Probably. He said it out loud.
And at the same time, Jerry's like, the guards in this place are worthless.
That's what I thought he said. That's a moment that can't be written.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I'll go along if it means helping. You guys, I mean, honestly, you guys are interesting, and I don't want to lose a chance to experience all this, but they never really talk about it in the books about what it looks like to see someone burn. That's a little different when you see it with your own eyes,
Things usually are.
And Elle, you should know this De La Huerta, she's dangerous. She'll stab you in the back twice without even thinking about it once.
Well, just won't let her get close to me then. And she'll just kind of like puff at that, kind of hold her nose up.
By the way, Jerry, do you have any nicknames?
I used my real name when I was in the gang as much as possible. I didn't like having a nickname. I wanted people to know when they heard the Fazzini name. I wanted them to be as scared as they could be. It wasn't great when it came to the guards, but Bear.
Bear stare.
Yeah, I didn't have a nickname in the gang. I like people knowing my real name. It made them more afraid of me.
Right, he's going to nod.
You just hear Elle snort and stifle a laugh.
So you guys are having this whole conversation, and you're working your way through the city, getting down to past the inner walls down into these sort of lower districts of the city. The carnival festival buzz is even more the further down in the city you go. Festival days are always more anticipated by the lower classes than the upper.
By the way, once we get down to the lower areas, Broughton is going to be quiet and just keep focused on perception, looking around, making sure there's nothing out of place.
Oh, okay.
How low are we going here?
Uh,
Are we going to the shadier part of town?
Are we going to the sewers again?
Well, I guess that's your choice. Vance said that the Red Cross Saber was in the Red Market, which is, not. It's at street level.
Okay,
You
I was
don't
just
need to-
asking. No,
Yeah.
I was asking more so like, what's a bar like seem like?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you live here. You know that the Red Cross Saber is not the sketchiest place in the world.
Yeah,
I just
that's
noticed
all
the
it says.
Twitch chat. The Chrysler says Fezzini Alfredo.
Sorry that you were Robo.
The-
I didn't hear what you said.
Chrysalar in Twitch chat says top quality name, by the way, Fizzini Alfredo.
Fazzini Alfredo. Yes.
Nice.
The chat gets inspiration.
Do me a favor, link your Twitch thing in the chat so I can click on it and
Oh,
I'll have to
Sure,
search.
absolutely. Give me one hot second. There it is in the Discord chat.
Like you said.
So you definitely get down. There's lots of little canals and such, especially around the dock areas of the city, which is sort of where the Red Cross Saber is. And you get down there, and you find that the Red Cross Saber is sort of an interesting architectural building. It's sort of like spans one of these little canals. It's sort of built as an arch over one of the canals. And it looks like these.
That is some really impressive architecture. You know that?
This town really,
So
this city really is a marvel sometimes.
So the entire arch is one building?
Yep.
Wow.
And the arch is the thing that's sort of in the background of the picture.
What?
I'm like zoomed in on the arch in the very background of the picture. I didn't see the
Oh, okay.
arch.
Yes. Okay. I was like, is it not obvious?
Never
Okay.
mind.
Okay.
I can use the internet.
Sure, you can.
So we're as we approach, like, are there just like, is it like bustling people everywhere? Like everybody's getting ready for the festival?
Yes. Yeah. Crowds. Yeah. Lots of them. I can sometimes put a sentence together in the right order. Yeah, and the Red Cross Saber Inn seems rather full. It's still kind of early-ish in the day, like maybe 4:30, but it seems packed.
I say, you guys are should we talk about the plan before we go in, or just figure it out as we go?
Well, my current plan is just to ask for him to lay off Matilda, and if there's anything we need to do to help facilitate that along, then we can chat about that once we know what he's asking for.
What are our goals coming in? I know asked for him to lay off of the shopkeep you were talking about, but other than that, are we asking him for help with Jerry's situation?
Any help will come at a price. I mean, the less we ask for, the less we have to give.
I mean, if he wants money, honestly, my family's not by any means impoverished.
I feel like from all the stories and the rumors and legends I've heard, Gaspari is not really the type to trade for money.
It's likely going to be a favor for a favor.
And at that point, we're just haggling about morals, yeah?
Yeah. No, you're right. I know they're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So,
Yeah.
should we go in and see what he wants?
Let's go in.
Just
Let's go.
keep your head on a swivel. We don't know. Well, we do know the kind of place we're walking into.
Nod.
Okay. So you guys enter the Red Cross Saber. There is a big sign hanging out front with, strangely enough, 2 sabers that are painted red and crossed. The entrance is down here. And you come into like a very typical like kind of tavern scene. Lots of tables are full. There's this smoky haze up in the air. You see that there's lots of like stuff going on. There's like a game of darts happening down here. There's like lots of people playing cards. There's lots of drinking going on. A guy falls out of his seat, like right by you. Some drink kind of like spills over the floor onto your boots. You see that the bartender is a dwarf woman. She is quickly like running back and forth, getting drinks and like yelling for the kitchen and all this stuff. You can see though that there is a staircase that goes up on your right side that looks like it would go up to the upper levels of the inn. Most of the patrons here seem like sailors. Very sort of rough and tumble, but probably pretty straight and narrow crowd.
And Jerry will just sort of like go over to the bartender and try and just grab her attention for a second and pull the missive out of his pocket.
She goes, oi, yes, what you needing? What's that paper there for?
He'll sort of flatten it out on the table and just sort of like half cover it with one of his hands and just direct her to look at it.
She sort of gives a quick glance. Her eyes widen, but then they narrow as she reads it. And she says, oh yeah, your lot. They got the whole upper floors rented tonight. Go right on up. No one will bother you on my end. Bloody roguey burglars, she sort of mutters under her breath.
Jerry almost says something like out of like an old habit and stops himself. And he sort of puts the missive back in his sort of side satchel pouch. And motions them he's upstairs.
We are 100% walking into the Star Wars Cantina.
The question is, which of us is Han Solo? Look at Jerry.
Definitely Jerry.
Nice. I'll take that.
Who will undoubtedly murder someone in cold blood, but then the legends will get retold later to say, oh, no, it was the other guy who started it first.
At some point. Oh, and Sybil is our Anakin.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I am not Anakin.
Definitely our Luke.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
There's one question we can use to tell. How fond is Sybil of sand?
I mean, to be fair, Luke didn't like it either.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess.
So,
The better
Which
question
of
is, how
us-
fond of children am I?
Oh,
Right.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. So you go up the set of stairs that is on your right, and unlike the wood floors that you have just been in, the stairs are covered in a very fine red carpet, and you can see that the stair rails are like they have these very fine brass knobs on the end, and the railing is carved with this sort of leafy filigree. Very, very fancy stuff.
As they're walking up the stairs, Sybil is just pointing out at the ground. She's like, I feel like carpet in a bar is a bad idea. I feel like that would absorb literally everything.
it probably is.
yeah, but we're
Also,
moving
I
into the
just
nicer
realized,
part
no,
of the bar.
Sybil's are C-3PO.
And Sybil, as you say, there certainly are many like mystery stains on the carpet until you get about halfway up the stairs, and there is a landing and a door. And standing outside the door is like a big, burly, tough guy who's sort of like leaning against the wall. This guy is bald, and he is bare-chested except for a vest that he wears, and he has like many tattoos.
I bet you this guy's a bouncer. She leans over and whispers that to whoever's next to her.
Sybil's are C-3PO.
Jerry will just he knows, like, he sort of knows, like, you got to have like a confidence in your step in this situation, or it just makes things worse. He just sort of goes up confidently to this guy, and he says, and he pulls out the missive from Vance, and he says, "Hey, we're here to see the boss."
You
Ryan is
say
going
to
to be
see the
standing
boss.
right behind him.
He looks at the paper. You can see his eyes sort of, they move slowly over the letters. You can see a little bead of sweat form on the side of his brow. And he sort of hands back the missive, and he says, "Yeah, the boss isn't quite in yet, but he's coming. Should be here about an hour or so."
Can we wait inside?
Yeah, I suppose you can. Gotta leave all your weapons here, though.
Does he have like what does he have to hold the weapons? Is it like a lockbox, or is it like an umbrella holder?
So you can see by his side there's sort of like this built-in like rack built into the wall, and it just has like 8 iron-bound chests that are sort of stacked one on top of the other with enough space to open them. And you can see on his belt a ring of keys.
Yes, the mystical magical item of a ring of keys.
Ring of keys.
yeah, the ring of keys.
Yeah, there's a slight problem here. Ragna's not going to let go of his hammer.
So thing that I've been thinking about in the last few weeks, Bastion would definitely have his pack lashed to the Broom of Flying, and would probably have spent some amount of time at the Blackstone Estate, kind of, messing with it and seeing what he can get away with. And reading through the thing, he has probably set the keyword for it to come to him whenever he uses the command word. So he will leave his like pack sling lashed to the Broom of Flying out and just kind of lean it up against the wall.
Cool.
Jerry will use one of the chests and put his sword in there.
Sybil will walk up to it, take out one of her pens, and just set it gently in the box.
Nice.
Ragna's just standing there with his arms crossed.
And she'll turn to the big guy. That right there is the most dangerous thing in this box. And she'll kind of puff her nose up and then walk back.
Is it full of poison or?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't drink ink. That's probably not good, but
Is there a secret knife inside?
it's pointy.
How many guys you stabbed with it?
Oh, heavens no, I would never stab anyone with it.
He just looks like not very impressed.
Well, that's fine. It seemed like you were having issues reading that anyways. Huh.
Oh, he's I can read some good. My mama taught me how to read.
Well, all right then. Anyways,
I can read this situation some good, he says. He says, "Yous ain't going in there till that big guy leaves up his whacking stick."
oh, Ragna?
My hammer doesn't
Oh.
leave me.
Oh, see, it's not a whacking stick. It's a walking stick. He's got a bit of a problem. He uses it as a support when he can't stand upright.
Isn't it
So-
like a Thor's hammer?
Yeah, it's like a war hammer.
Even better.
It's like, so
Oh,
he
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
yeah, it's not a maul, yeah, it's like a war
Oh.
hammer, yeah. Do you want to change what you say?
Nope.
Okay.
Perfect. Good answer.
the bartender or the bouncer just like looks really confused. And he
Ragna
says,
also looks confused.
well, unless he puts it in one of them there chests, he ain't walking up these stairs.
I mean,
Though, you know, maybe I could be persuaded. Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe your friend leaves it in under a cloak or something, and I didn't see it.
Ragna, why don't you? Yeah, no. That really nice elven cloak that Ragna should be wearing. He should put it
Yeah.
under that.
He is wearing it as a cape.
Okay.
And, okay, he'll move it
Oh.
over so that it covers the hammer.
Oh well, that's very
Is
nice
that
of
good
you.
enough?
I mean, I saw you move it over I saw you move the cloak. Maybe I
Ragna's
could
eyes
be.
are going to start glowing. Did you?
Oh no, okay, no, hold on, Ragna, I got this. And she'll pull out like 50 gold and just say like, this, right?
He will move to take the gold and say, "I saw nothing. There ain't no hammers, just walking sticks."
Right. Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Okay, so we're good to go, right?
And he opens the door. He says, "Welcome, my friends, to the upper floors."
Oh, that was so cool. I actually got to bribe someone. Can you believe it? Oh yeah.
And Bastion, seeing her hand over the gold, is going to be like, oh, I see how it works. And hand him 10 more gold.
No. Oh. Okay.
Thank you, little boy.
Oh.
As he's holding out the gold and he's reaching for it, he'll like kind of look at him and then reach out and like take one of the gold back and be like, and be like, not little.
You come up to this guy's like waist.
You can
That
see
made
him
the
just
guy
like,
8 foot.
you can see him just like
Ragna's just kind of watching this.
pouting at him and like still hands him the 9 gold.
Sybil kind of walks behind Ragna and just kind of like gently pushes him like, come on. You don't need this
That's a good
escalating.
plan.
All right.
kind of
Pass.
confused as to why they way overpaid him, and I was going to intimidate him.
Because we don't need to scare people. We are the good guys, remember?
Yes, however, I am very good at scaring people.
Also,
Would Jerry know the normal amount of a bribe in that situation? Like,
Yeah.
what would have been like a bribe in that situation?
Like Bastion kind of gave the industry standard with the
Okay.
10,
Okay,
9,
got it.
as it were. But yeah,
Sybil. Okay, so a little insight. Sybil only knew that because of the adventure novel she's read. So, well, actually, so I assume like if someone mentions that, like, why'd you give him so much? She'd be like, oh well, actually, in the novels of Drizzt, they usually give that much. It's usually like 50. Actually, usually it's more than that. But I honestly, I felt like 50 would work. Is that too much? Did I paid too much, didn't I? Shut up! I know I paid too much. Yeah, no, yeah. Okay, so that was too much. Too much. Yeah.
I don't think it hurt anything, Sybil. It's fine. It's fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Just remember, fantasy is one thing, and the real world's a little different than that.
Well, yeah, no, you're right. And she'll just kind of get like a really an uncharacteristically grim look on her face, and just kind of, and her eyes will just kind of go like kind of glaze over for a second.
Ragnar said nothing.
Jerry will just shrug.
Ragnar is innocent of this crime.
okay. So you guys move up the next flight of stairs, which are now free of mysterious stains. And you eventually reach the top of the stairs, and before you is a wide, large room. It looks similar to the tavern downstairs in that there are, tables and tons of people. But this is a much more ornate, lavishly decorated section of the tavern. It looks like there's the ground floor. There is a middle mezzanine level, and then there is a third upper balcony that sort of encircles the entire space. You can see very well dressed waiters walking between the tables with grace and elegance, this sort of upper level is kind of out of place for how low you are in the city. And Jerry, you've been to places like this before. Definitely among the gangs, there is this obviously sense of feigned nobility, where they don't actually have any, but of course they have the coin to pretend. In the middle of the room, there is
Please excuse me, I missed time.
a sort of large roped-off circle that you think you can see bloodstains in.
Oh, great! Another fighting pit. We haven't seen one of those in, I don't know, 24 hours.
Yeah, I was starting to miss it, and he has the biggest sarcastic look on his face.
I've never seen one.
They don't have anything in the fighting pits of Drizzt.
I said I've never seen one. Doesn't mean I haven't read anything about them.
Well,
Also, that's not a book. She has a moment where she realizes. So she's just she first of all she defends herself, and then she's like, That's not a book.
Wait a second.
I mean, I really like the idea that the Legend of Dritz is canon in this world, but instead of being like, moderately good like fantasy fiction, it's totally like it's like the same story as the Legend of Dritz, but it's like this wildly inaccurate, like kind of like racist depiction of dark elves. That's someone who's like never met that. Well, the R.A. Salvatore also exists in this world, but he like wrote this totally inaccurate, like fantastical, like, oh, this is what dark elves are like.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Oh no.
Yep.
I don't like the fact that it's considered racist because I really like the Dritz books in real life, and it's.
Oh, so like, I mean, what I'm imagining is like the story of these Dritz books are like different, but they're like, like it's preserving the sanctity of the actual Dritz books, which I think are pretty good. And then like, anyway, it's not important. You see lots of clientele here, and as you come up, a waiter comes over to you, sort of a younger boy, maybe like 18 or 19. He says, can I get you folks a table? We're a little full, but I think I can squeeze you in.
Yeah, table for 4.
Excellent. Right this way, please. And he will lead you up to the 3rd and topmost level. And he gives you a table which has a great sort of overlook of the entire establishment.
This will be perfect. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, no problem. And he hands out like menus to you. He says, I'll be back in a bit to get your orders.
And what do the appetizers look like?
I do not have a menu ready for you, but they are like good. It's kind of like an upper class pub.
Should I go grab the Pounce and Claw menu?
It is not nearly that
Hipster.
Yeah, it's like fancy pub food basically.
Sure.
Give me them barbecue nachos.
Indeed. So sort of looking out over the place, you can see that there is. You have a great view of like the fighting ring, which is currently empty, but you do spy a table that maybe has an even better view of the room than you do, and it is conspicuously empty.
Conspicuously empty.
Bastion will tilt his head over to the table, look at Jerry and be like, you know this area? You think that's the big man's table?
DM, what would Jerry know in this situation?
Well, Jerry would totally know. I think that a guy like Gaspari would totally have his favorite table.
Jerry would just say, I think it's a safe bet. We'll well, the bouncer knows we're here looking for Gaspari, so I'm sure he'll I think what's best is he'll send for us at this point, probably. If he's there for a while, we can always go up and say hello. It's best to be patient in these scenarios. I guess. It's been a while though, so I'm not sure if things are the same as they used to be.
Well, it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Guys, they have cheese curds here.
What? Bastion will pick up the menu and be like, yes.
Jerry's keeping an eye out for De La Huerta in this place.
Oh yeah, give me a perception check.
Ron's just keeping an eye out.
You both can give me perception then.
11.
Nice.
19.
Very good. Jerry, looking around, you kind of see, you pick out a couple faces that seem familiar to you, back from the old days. If they too have recognized you, they don't give any overt signs of it. But Rock, you're sort of like, just keep an eye out for stranger danger. And you definitely see that you are not the only one who has clandestinely brought weapons into this establishment. You see quite a variety of knives, pistols, hand crossbows, some stored more sneakily than others. There are definitely a few. Yeah, totally. It just sort of never came up before, to be honest. But gunpowder is not like super duper common, but among those who have the means to obtain it, it's definitely around.
So, speaking of pistols, would I have found some of those in the rubble too?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I was making sure.
A little while later, the waiter comes back, bringing wine for you all. He says it's a recent Tulare import and is supposed to be quite good.
Oh, I don't drink. I'm sorry. I'll take a cider though if you have those.
Oh,
I also don't drink.
I'd rather have water, honestly.
Bastion looks around the table and is just like, water? Fine, I guess. Thank you for the offer of the wine, though.
Oh, no worries. Let's say it's a complimentary gift from a friend. He sort of gives you a sort of knowing look.
Does he leave after that, or does he just hang around for a second?
Well, he puts the wine on the table after saying that, the bottle, and then he gets his scratch pad out to take your main order.
Okay, so I want the cheese curds.
Seconded.
Alright, 2 cheese curds.
Cheese curds sound great.
3 cheese curds.
I'm fine.
All right.
He'll take the sampler.
He said a size. All right. A sampler, 3 cheese curds, 3 waters, and a cider. Great. It'll go off. You see that sort of there's a little ribbon tied around the bottle of wine, and there is a small note attached to it.
What's the note say, Aaron?
Removing the note and looking at it, it's at the top. It just says JF, and then it says after the first round of entertainment, come to the back rooms. I'll be waiting. Signed, GR.
This is cryptic. Any of you know what to make of this? And she'll just kind of hold it out to everyone.
Oh, sorry, that'd be RG. I'm an idiot. Signed RG.
That makes
I
more
was
sense.
wondering about that.
I was like, what?
Sign Gur.
Doom, 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 doom.
Oh, I haven't thought about that show in forever.
I thought
Oh
it
my
was going
God.
like this.
So Jerry will just say, so El, just the first round of entertainment means there's going to be some people fighting down there, and then after that is done, we go into the back room. It's a little less mysterious maybe than you're thinking.
Well, all right. She kind of looks visibly uncomfortable with the whole fighting pit idea. You get the sense that she's not the most confrontational person.
Bastion says, "It's okay. This time we won't get involved. Or at least I hope not."
They don't fight to the death here, do they?
Ragnar will shrug.
Jerry will also shrug.
I hope not. Surely not. This place can't be that nice and have people kill each other. Sure. Certainly.
Bastion will give just kind of like a knowing look, just like,
Elle purposely does not look at the party when she says that. She's kind of learned not to expect too much.
She learns fast.
Part of her personality.
After a little bit, your waiter comes back bringing all of the things that you ordered. And shortly after that, you see some figures gathering around the roped-off circle down on the ground floor. Maybe it's a little surprising, but we can roll for lactose intolerance if you want.
No thanks.
Okay. They do not seem like big burly fighters. They seem instead there is one scantily clad man and one scantily clad woman, and they are both carrying big, sort of lavishly ornate two-handed curved swords. And they both enter the circle, and the whole attention of the room sort of, is obviously drawn to the center. And they stand at opposite ends, and these two warriors bow to each other. And then they begin, I think, what could be called more of a dance than anything else. They engage in a battle between each other, these scimitars being flung and swept around with great ease. But it seems almost choreographed. They never draw blood. And there is, a great show of like the male fighter, seems to almost gain victory, but then the female fighter comes out and like beats him back in a very like dramatic fashion. And there's the ups and the downs, and people you can definitely see start like betting money, like coins are thrown into the circle. And eventually, if it is even, then the woman wins, and if it is odd, then the male fighter wins. All right. Yeah, totally. There's like a pro scimitar fighting match going on.
Scimitar dance fighters.
Indeed.
I think even at a certain point, like when they walked out with these massive swords, or these like very like dangerous looking swords, I think Elle would have been worried. Been like, oh, they are. And then whenever they started doing their thing after a few like minutes or so, she would, whether intentionally or not, be absolutely captivated. And like as she's watching them, she's just scribbling furiously in her notebook.
Darn it, Chrysler beat me to it. He said WWE Fantasy Editions right before I said almost like wrestling.
Indeed.
Chrysalar is on point with the banter.
He is. Yep. Excellent. So, eventually, the male fighter does best the female, but only slightly.
You succeed.
And they both seem very good-natured about it. And, of course, she gives this very dramatic defeat. And, the crowd cheers or boos respectively, depending on, like, who they were wanting to win. And then the two fighters bow, and they leave the ring for now.
I think Sybil might actually like give like a clap, like an excited like palm clap, like rapidly, just kind of be like, just like, yay, kind of like that.
That was far more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
It was certainly a lot cleaner than I thought it was going to be.
I know the stain made me think it was going to be bad, but it must have been an accident. Accidents happen.
Or perhaps it was a different kind of fight.
I'm going to choose to think it was an accident. Makes me feel better.
Accident with a sword might not be as bad as a bare-fisted fight. Might not be as good.
Well, now that you mention that, actually, maybe. Yeah, no, we have a meeting, right? Show's over. Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gary will just sigh and say, "Yeah, I guess so. What? It was maybe this is a fortuitous sign for our evening that it began without bloodshed here in this first in what we're watching here. Let's try and keep that up, I guess."
Hear, hear.
Nod.
And at that, I guess Bastion will stand up and kind of start leading the way. He'll start leading the way toward the back room and then realize he has no idea where that is. And then just kind of look to Jerry.
And Jerry will sort of try and find the back room from where he's at. Is it obvious, DM, or do I have to struggle to figure this out?
It is certainly. It might be a struggle if not for your background. You are certainly used to going to the back rooms of places for shady meetings.
Cool. Then Jerry would see Bastion struggling and just nod in the direction and start walking that way.
Mm-hmm. You definitely have like a shady deal radar. And indeed, you make your way past tables. You hear a lot of chatter, excited chatter about the fight that just happened. And you find a door that like leads to a long hallway, and you go down the hallway and like take a left, and there's some stairs down, another hall, and some stairs up. And eventually, you find there's a room at the end of the hall that there are two leather-clad guards outside. They see you coming, and they just sort of give you a bro, like chin sort of up nod.
This is way cooler than it should be.
And then they as you approach, they, without stopping you, they just open the door for you, and inside you see a very expensively decorated room. You see this lovely maroon carpet. There's a big window. There's lots of bookshelves. There appears to be like a globe in one corner. There is like a mini bar on one side, but sort of directly in front of you, there is a big what's the word for chairs? What's that thing that you do to chairs and couches? A nicely upholstered chair.
Got it.
That's the word I was looking for. A very lovely upholstered chair, and sitting in it, Jerry, fingers anxiously sort of drumming on the arm of the chair. You see a man, maybe in like his middle 40s, his sort of shoulder length brown hair tousled in front of his
coming out
face.
to watch Chris Lowe. I hope you had a good time.
He's wearing sort of this like very nice gold and black doublet. And you can see beside the chair there is a large reptilian creature. Not a dragon, for it has no wings, but it sort of sits there snarling and kind of snoozing.
An alligator?
Doesn't look like an alligator. You think more of a drake, yeah. Indeed, Jerry, you see in front of you your old boss, Raymond Gaspari.
And Jerry will just say, "Oi, Mr. Gaspari, last time I was here, you sent people to beat the shit out of me. Hopefully we won't have that same outcome this time around."
Yes. It is good to see you again, Jerry. I hope we do not part like we did last time.
It's been a couple years. Jerry's just like trying to make some small talk. He'll say, what's the happenings around the city? You haven't taken over everything yet, have you?
Far from it. And he stands up, goes over to the mini bar, and he pours 5 shots of some sort of liquor, and he as he's handing them out to you, he says, "Some things have been going good, but some things have been going not so good." He says there are new gangs in this city almost every month, all wanting a piece of what I have built. He says, and there are none more a thorn in my side than those 5 knives. But tell me, Jerry, why have you come back? I have heard many interesting things.
Well, me and my friends here, and I'll sort of mention, like, point at the group. We're in the city with the proposition, but you've heard what happened over at Esperanza's place, I assume, right?
Oh, yes. I have heard these things. I have made the most of this situation. I am told that maybe you have something to do with this.
We didn't go in there for you, but it ended up being a boon to you. So we have a boon to request in return for that favor. Inadvertent as it was.
And he sits back down in his big fancy chair, sipping his whiskey. And he says, "What do you wish of me?"
It's a small thing, a trifling thing, almost not even worth asking. There's a shopkeep by the name of, and I'm horrible with names. Bastion, can you hook me up with the name on this one?
Bastion will kind of step forward and be like, Mr. Gaspari, my name is Bastion. We're asking if you, of one of your interests out in Orez, the Blue Moss Tavern. It's run by a lovely woman by the name of Matilda.
Yes, I know of this place.
Matilda was very good to us when we were there not more than a couple weeks ago. And she appeared to be having some, stress about some of your dealings. I was wondering if you could, if you wouldn't mind kind of letting up on her, on that particular establishment as a whole, really.
You see his eyes kind of narrow, and almost in sync with that, you see the big drake by his side sort of stir and snarl.
Bastion will take a step back.
And he says, "You ask me to go easy on this Matilda, on this Blue Moss Tavern."
Yes, sir.
I am not usually known as an easygoing man. It is not easy to build what I have built by going easy on those who owe you money, especially those who use your services. But I am weighing all of my options, and I have made some good money from the hole that has been left in Esperanza's operations. I could foresee that this Blue Moss Tavern and this Matilda is allowed some lenience for a time.
What would it take to make a time to forever?
You ask for me to just forever close on a legitimate source of income?
It's a trifling compared to what you make in other places. What I've collected for you over the years from other places. Who would know better than me?
This is true. Jerry Fazzini, you used to be one of my best men. There are not many like you left. I was sorry when you left. Of course, we did what we had to do. We had our business between us.
And it was quite the thanks you gave me for my years of service.
Huh. He says, not everyone can leave the business so easily.
Most leave like my brother did.
This is true. This is true. I am thinking that you should be thankful that you still breathe.
And Jerry will just start to say something, and he'll just stop dead in his tracks and say, "It was De La Huerta who did it, wasn't it?"
Yes, she and her 5 knives.
And Jerry will just say, I think, and it's sort of like you can see sort of the wheels sort of turning in his head as he's sort of like, I want to know whether me and you, whether our business is concluded. Do we have more between us, or are we square?
What has come before between us, you and I, Jerry? It is done. I did what I thought I needed to do. You have done what you have thought you have needed to do. Unless you are wishing to make new business between us, there is no old business that remains.
Did you hear this young lady here is the proprietor of a bookshop close to us in town. Did you hear about the 9 men in masks already?
I heard there was some kind of kerfluffle in the markets, but none of the specifics.
Sybil has had her head in her journal, like scrawling down everything that's being said, and as Jerry says that, she's like, actually, there were 10. I think. I'm pretty sure there were 10, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, actually, there were 10. And then she'll kind of realize like that he was talking about her. She doesn't know that.
I know, that's why it's funny.
Oh, yes. I'm not the proprietor. I'm actually, I run the shop though when the owners aren't there. But what about it? And she'll look at Jerry. It's like, why did we bring this up?
Well, I don't think De La Huerta's the giving up type. I think she knows I'm back in the city, and do you think she has her full force around her? Is it I guess I'm just asking, is she the same as it was a couple years ago last I was here, or is it worse?
It has only gotten worse. She seeks to take what I have built and make it her own. She does not deserve this thing. I have tried to have her killed. But all the times I have failed. She is more crafty than she lets on, parading about the city alone as she does, waving herself under my nose. She is crafty, perhaps too much so. There is more to her than she lets on. Something dark, something devious.
And Jerry will just say something we've been working on, this group. We've been, and this may be no disrespect, Mr. Gaspari, but we've been doing good. We've been helping people. I've been making amends. I would want to know what good can come from me helping to take down the Five Knives. What good could come of us helping take down the Five Knives?
He says, what good it will do? Ha! The good it will do is line my pockets is what good it will do. Carmen de la Guerra and her gang cost me much coin. Every single day they encroach upon my business.
And if we were to destroy the Five Knives and your business increased, how much would you give back to the people? Would you be willing to take your profits and give them back to the people who need it more than this place does? And he sort of looks around at the opulence.
So he sets his whiskey down, and he stands up from his chair, and he goes over to the window with his hands behind his back, and sort of motions for you to join him by the window.
Jerry will walk over.
And he motions out the window at the city arrayed before you. And he says, Jerry, you know as well as I the struggles that the lowly people of Valdore go through day and day out. Those who are not rich, those who are not gifted in the arts. We are trod upon by those in the chateaus, and he spits. He says, it is up to people like me, those willing to get their hands dirty in the muck of the world, to give the people under their boots, those velvet-lined boots, a chance to live free. Yes, Jerry, if the Five Knives were out of my hair for good, it would only mean good things for those trod upon in Valdore.
And I've never known you as one to deal in slavery. I need a promise from you. A promise on your word that that's not a direction you'll ever go in.
He reaches his hand over to the globe by his side. just sort of like absent-mindedly spins it around. And he says, that one, the Esperanza, he still lives. Though you ratted out one of his holes. He has many, many more, both in the city and abroad. He seeks power, wealth, influence by subjugating those beneath him. As I have said to you, Jerry, I fight for the common people. I would never resort to this slavery. This, and he takes a knife from his pocket and he cuts his hand and he smears it on the window. No, sorry, he doesn't smear it on the window. He takes his bloody hand and he sort of slams it down on the spinning globe, and there's this like bloody handprint over it. Just sort of stops right on Valdore. So there's this like bloody hand mark over the city on the globe, and he says, "As long as I fight for those trod upon by velvet boots, there will be no slaves within my ranks. This I promise you." Rachna, if he's lying, he's doing a damn good job of it.
And oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Elle is absolutely like giddy and infatuated, because it's this thing that this is very much something she would have read in a book. Like, this is a speech that the mentor of the hero would give, or like the rising leader of a city would give. So she's just like, oh, this is so good, this is so good, this is so good. I know, this is so good. As she's just scrawling it down.
And Jerry would motion to ask for his knife from Gaspari.
He flips it over to you.
Jerry would do the same motion of cutting into his palm, and he goes and he does the same thing, putting the red of his blood onto the over top of where Gaspari put it, and he says, "By my honor as a monk of Tintern Abbey, no longer of your gang, I will root out the Five Knives from the city. And I'm not doing it for revenge for my brother. I'm doing it for the good it might bring to the people of the city. And I will hold you accountable to your word that you will take any power you gain from this and help those more in need of it than yourself."
And he says to you, "Those years ago, Jerry, when I brought you before me in this same room, bloody and beaten, I looked upon you and I thought to myself, this was a man, I thought, who could bring about the change I have been seeking for so many years. But here he is, lost, misguided. I had no choice back then, but to do what I must as a leader, to show the force necessary it takes. I did not think I would be seeing you again, as you are now, coming back after all this time from a different direction, but once again, our goals aligning. He sort of like strokes his beard thoughtfully.
And I look at the rest of the party and I say, this business with the 5 knives, it is my pact I've made. I do not swear for the rest of you. Are you with me on this?
You know, I've spent most of my life helping out people one at a time. I suppose I'm willing to give it a shot for the betterment of the whole, as it were.
The entirety of my goal is to help those who are suffering. He seems to be doing the same. So, for now, I will also help.
Sybil kind of like slams her journal up and tucks her pen away and looks up. As I said before, I'd prefer to avoid murder, but it seems that the ones that shot up my store are of the same ilk of the ones we'll be going after. So, and that's the case, I'd like to avoid any unnecessary murder. But yes, I'm all for helping. It's the least we could do.
I guess the question is just the how.
This is something I have been thinking about and trying myself for a long, long time. I have some ideas and information that could be useful to you.
Well, maybe let's and there's like a central table in this room.
Yeah.
And Jerry will say, well, maybe let's all sit down and get comfortable and you can tell us more about it.
Sybil will kind of sigh and pull back out her journal. All right. Planning it is.
Gaspari will give you a lowdown of the information that he has on Carmen. He will tell you that first of all, she has a big estate up in the chateaus, which is very heavily guarded, both by martial and magical means. He says that every agent that he has sent in to try to get at like any kind of information about what is inside this estate has not returned. So he knows where she lives, but he has no idea what's inside. He also is aware that she has at least three sort of like satellite bases throughout this city. One in the cellars underneath the cemetery. One actually in the Great Market. And he says he has pretty good information that she actually has a safe house that is beneath the palace. he says that any one of these 3 safe houses or her estate she could probably be found in. Well, those are good bets. He says that Carmen is also known for like walking about the city sort of brazenly by herself. Though there seems to be really no rhyme or reason to when this is. He says that often he receives feverish reports from his agents being like, holy shit, Carmen's like at this place now, and he'll like feverishly dispatch like people to go kill her, but she has always moved on by the time that they arrive.
And throughout the time, Jerry would just ask Gaspari, is she cozied up to any of the nobles?
Yes, he says. She and Lord Krenel are close. He sort of chuckles at that. He says, like, not that kind of close, but...
That's the jailer, right?
Yes. That is the lord that owns the prison.
And that's the guy that sent the folks into the cellars to arrest everybody, too.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's possible that she's had her eye on us longer than we have known.
Well, luckily for you, folk, unless she is in the loop too much. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. The one that was alive was taken away by the Velvet Guard, and if Krenel's over them, there's no guarantee that... I know. So, we left one alive, right? And they were taken away by the Velvet Guard. What do you think happened to them?
I have no doubt they're free at this point.
And free to report on us back to De La Guerra.
Sybil looks visibly anxious at this. No. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no.
The first move in dealing with a bully like De La Guerra is show no fear. I sent a clear message back with him. I figured we'd get into De La Guerra's lap. Even though we may appear brazen, we need to act with due care.
She's kind of a little like jittery at this point, like kind of like shaking, whether it be willingly or not. And you guys watch as like she kind of breaks out an anxious sweat. Like it's kind of the thing. It's like oh no, she's realizing it's like this person's alive, and because originally she was going to say, well, luckily I haven't been with you guys long, so maybe I might be able to get something. And then she thought about it and she was like, oh no, the Velvet Guard aren't clean apparently. The Velvet Guard are the ones who took away the only person left who would be able to associate me with you.
Seeing you, like, getting visibly nervous, Bastion will say, it's okay. The last time we were on the defensive. This time, it's our turn to, be ready for them and to strike back preemptively.
Well, if they do send more after us, they'll have more bodies.
That doesn't make me feel all that much better, you know? Our last fight was in the middle of the marketplace. Sure, everyone ran, but... I mean,
They don't seem to be the collateral damage type, besides everything in a certain area.
They shot up the storefront.
And
That is
hurt.
as much collateral as it could have been.
And who did they hurt?
I don't think they cared if they'd hurt anyone. We just got lucky.
Right. But now we have the information, we have the knowledge, we have the intel, which means that we can control where the fighting actually takes place a lot more now.
So what are we supposed to do then? Hit them at all three safe houses and then storm her gates?
Well, we know she sometimes goes out for walks.
I know a few people around the city that we could tap into and potentially set up a bit of a net, but if, she knows that Gaspari here, or Mr. Gaspari here, and he'll point, is, constantly on the look for her, but random folk around the Great Market, maybe we can pull something off.
And as you're having this discussion, Gaspari is like nodding along and like adding little bits of input as the conversation demands. But outside, below the window, you can see down like to the entrance of the Red Cross Saber, and you see a whole battalion of Velvet Guard entering the establishment.
How many of us see that?
I assume when one of you sees it, you alert the others.
Not again.
That's probably our key.
You got a way out the back?
Gaspari just smiles. He's like, of course.
And I'm assuming we're all booking it at this point.
Yep.
Okay. He stands up immediately and goes over to one of the bookcases.
Our stuff. Oh, like our weapons and stuff are downstairs.
Yeah.
I gotta get the.
No.
I gotta get this. I gotta get Faint's sword. I've gotta get, like, it's really important to Jerry that he gets his sword back.
Jerry, wait here. I'll be right back. And then, like, she'll turn around and she'll kind of take a few deep breaths, and you kind of hear him under her breath. Her breath. Are you sure it's gonna work? You sure? All right. So, she's gonna take a few deep breaths, and she's going to reach her. She's gonna flip open her journal. And you guys, I guess there's really no way of hiding it. You guys are going to see, like, her right eye is going to kind of, flare up, and she's going to say a few words in, well, I guess the only person who'd speak it would be Rachna in Infernal, and he's going to watch. You're going to watch essentially a silver door rip open, and I'm going to cast Dimension Door and picture the right there next to the bouncer.
Cool.
And,
it's definitely within range.
Yeah, I figured it was within like 500 feet. So so I'm going to cast it. Let me pop it in there.
Bastion's eyes are gonna go super.
Okay, still good.
Okay, all right. Bastion's eyes are gonna go wide as soon as you start to do this, and he's gonna like pull his cloak up and like put it over his face, and then as soon as he's waiting for like the thing, and like he can feel like a sneeze coming, and then like it like goes away, and he like sees to the other side of it, and just eyes wide, and he's just like, I warn you before you do that, Asio, and the broomstick will fly into his hand.
So Dimension Door, despite its name, doesn't open an actual door, right? You just you just
Yeah.
teleport.
Okay, sure.
It was all flavor.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, totally. So, Sybil, you pop out of existence, and then you emerge back at that landing. You see that it is very different from the last time you were here. The bouncer is dead, stabbed through with what looks like a spear, a very like fine gilded spear. And the door to the upper levels is tossed open. You see that it looks like there was recently a big like movement of people, and you can hear now screams from below and above. It looks like you got lucky though, and there are no Velvet Guard on this landing.
Yeah, didn't think about that. So the chests that they're in, how big are the chests?
The chests are, I don't know, like what standard chest size, like 2 foot long and like 1 foot deep.
What I'm asking is, can I carry them?
You could probably carry one.
Okay.
While this is all happening, Bastion will like crack open the door of the office and like see what's going on out there.
Hi.
I will be right there with him.
Indeed. You crack open the office door, and the office doesn't. You just see a long hall. It doesn't open directly onto like the actual tavern.
Sure.
There is no one in the hall currently. The two guards are just standing there. They don't really know what's going on.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at them. Velvet Guard are here.
Oh shit! They look to Gaspari. It's like, whoa! They run in the room and like draw their swords. And Gaspari's like, oh, calm down. We will flee, but we have to wait for the girl.
So how long would it take me to use the key and open up the chest and grab just everything I can carry?
The Ring of Keys is on the bleeding dead dude. Just talk to me briefly about how Sybil goes about that, because I feel like that's important.
Yeah, so she's just kind of like, she pops in, essentially think like apparition. So she'll pop in once the door opens, or essentially by door it's essentially swallowed her, and it's with a sharp crack. She like shows up, looks around, she's like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. So she's trying to keep her head level. She looks over, she's like, chests. All right, I'll get the chests. She looks down, she's like, they're locked. Where is it? She looks over at the bouncer that's kind of very clearly bleeding and dead, and she just kind of reach down very timidly, and right as she's about to grab it, she'll hear like someone yell and essentially a dying scream, like, ah! And she'll like, oh god, and she'll snatch the keys real quick, and she'll just very shakily just fumble with them, trying to get through the locks.
Cool. Just because I want to see how lucky you are with keys, let's say give me investigation. I think seems reasonable.
All right.
Oh
All
yes,
right.
which you are very good at. So maybe you remember like the shape of the key that he used before, and you find it right away. Cha-chunk, opening the chest, and indeed you see there's the cat sword, there's your pen. I forget, there's Bastion's bundle that he left. And yes, and when you open the chest, you have to sort of almost dodge as whoosh, this bundle like flies out almost knocking you in the skull as the broom like sails out past you and like goes up the stairs. You probably dodge it, but it's not graceful at all.
I'd say it knocks my glasses off.
Sure.
Okay. So, oh god, with a crit, it's still a negative. As I'm just like, I look down and I just scoop up anything and everything in there. I make sure I grab the sword and obviously I make sure I grab my pen. It looks like the flying bundle has taken care of itself somehow. So she's just like, okay, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, and she kind of like
as you were just as you are there centering yourself, you hear a shout from up the stairs. Oi, girl, what you doing there? By the authority of the Velvet Guard, halt! And you see there's two Velvet Guard up at the top of the stairs with like their swords pointed at you. They're maybe like 60 feet away up the stairs. That's far, like 40 feet.
No, thank you. And she'll cast Dimension Door again, and as she like disappears, I want to grab the spear, just like as something to hold on to.
Okay.
So I'm gonna essentially picture the middle of Gaspari's room again, and just
pop
back.
You. Indeed. Those back into Gaspari's room. Moments later, you see Sybil pop back in the room with the cat sword, her pen, and also a spear.
Also not wearing her glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bastion will, at the top, will take like 2 or 3 steps back, just like kind of stumble backwards.
By the spear.
I don't know. People were dead. A lot of people. And she like, as she's looking around, you realize like it. Well, no, I'd say her hair probably got like knocked out, so her hair's probably all in her face. So never mind.
Jerry will just say, "Do you have it? Do you have Faint's sword?"
I don't. I have a lot of stuff, and she just kind of like holds her arms out. She's got an armful of everything, so I'm sure it's in there.
Bastion like looks over the pile and says, "Is my broom on the way?"
No, but
as you say that, careening down the hall, you see your broom, and it lands right smoothly in front of you.
Oh, good. Thanks, broom.
No problem, Bastion.
By the way, is the hallway a straight shot out into the area?
No. So the hallway goes maybe like 40 feet, then turns, and there's a couple flights of stairs in between, and then like another hall. There's kind of a circuitous passage to get from the inn to the office.
Okay.
And Jerry will find the sword and he'll just say, "Oh, thank Prios. I thought I had lost it for your. You did good. You did good, Al. Thank you."
Also, what happened to your glasses?
Oh no! My glasses! And she just kind of like does that thing. It's like the face touch. It's like, oh, I can't.
Yeah. How much does Elle need those to see?
Well, she actually doesn't need them that badly to see.
Okay. Cool. That's
It's,
all we needed to know.
Yeah.
If you don't want to say any more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like she goes into full on like she popped back in like I assume she got some blood on her when she had to reach down, whether it be intentional or not. So it's like her because she was wearing like this violet skirt anyway, so it's like there's spots of crimson on it. Her hair's probably got a little blood on it. I've got to go back. I've got to go back for my glasses. They're one of a kind. They can't be replaced.
Jerry will just say, I don't know that there's time. Just take a deep breath and think over the next 2 seconds. Do you need those glasses as much as you need your life?
And as she is thinking about this, you guys see outside the window, you see there are figures flying. There's like two robed figures flying along the side of the building, and they are casting light spells into the windows. And they appear to be looking into them.
Jerry would just be he would pull the sword out of the sheath, and he's looking for a place to run.
Gaspari will go over to the bookcase, pull a book, and the bookcase like slides back, and there's a dark passageway behind.
Sorry, Hel. We will get you a new pair as soon as possible, but we gotta go now.
No, you don't understand. I need my glasses. I need them. Bartholomew, go get my glasses. Please. Please.
And if someone's like standing by the door, you feel like a little flutter of wind go past your face.
Oh gosh, what does that mean? I guess Jerry at this point in time would almost be ready to like pick Elle up against her will and just like bolt into the door with like just to take decisive action at this point, because he really feels like we're gonna die if we stay here.
Yeah, the flying mages are only a couple windows away from the office window.
Bastion, while this is happening, would definitely have like tucked himself like back up against a wall, like hopefully away from like the like cutting a line of sight, but be ready to like go.
Is there anything coming along the hallway, by the way? Because Ragna's right near the door watching out.
Ragna, you hear in the distance shouts. But you think that the path from the tavern proper to the office is circuitous enough that it will probably take them, I don't know, like it took you like 2 minutes to walk it like by yourself. So it's gonna take any guard or mages or whatever like a bit of time.
I'm gonna look at her. How long will Bartholomew take?
I don't know. He does his own thing sometimes, but it's a long ways. I don't know.
Can it find you later?
Yes. Yeah. He'll
Then
know
let's
where
go.
I'm at. Okay. All right. Let's go.
And how close are the mages to the window?
They are like only one window away now.
Bastion is doing that like get low tactical run, like, and just like through the bookcase door.
Jerry's right behind him.
Okay.
Then Ragna, and as he's leaving, he's the last one out, right?
If he wants to be.
Yep. Then as he's leaving, he'll cast darkness on something in the room.
Cool. Sounds good to me. So the room is whoosh, enveloped by darkness as Ragna is the last one out. This passage is dark, not lit at all, and there's like spider webs kind of in it. It definitely feels like that this passage sort of goes just beyond like the walls of all the other rooms. As you're going down it, you can see like little peepholes kind of that you don't have time to look into, but you see them as they like look into other rooms of the tavern, and as you're going down past some of them, you hear sounds of struggle, sounds of fighting. In the distance, there's muffled calls of like, "Oh, by order of the Velvet Guard," right? This kind of thing. And then behind you, maybe only like 30 seconds after you leave, you hear the sound of an explosion, and maybe you falter, but only a step as you keep going. Eventually, Gaspari will sort of come to a stop, and there is a trap door at the end of this passage. He will open it, and there is a ladder that goes down. And he says, "It leads to the cellars. Go, go, go."
Thank you, Mr.
Ron
Gaspari.
will go down last.
You guys book it out of there quickly, with not much trouble. Climbing down this ladder, you plop down in a cellar, like a tiny room in the cellars. It looks like maybe an old crypt that has been, very long abandoned. One of Gaspari's guards will pick up, he'll like feel around for a torch that had been left there in case of emergencies, and whoosh, light it, at least so you can see.
Oh, heavy.
Oh yeah, we haven't used this one in a while. Let me just
Yeah.
fix
The
this
old
up.
Rotna picture.
I know, right? So you're seeing all sorts of previous selves.
Flashes from the past.
Yeah.
Jerry's hyperventilating for a second, and you see him sort of take a second and take like 5 quick breaths and steady himself, and he'll just say, "Well, things can't get much worse, so maybe next thing we do is make things a bit better." That was not something I've ever seen before.
It was somewhat exciting.
How dark is it in the cellars?
Currently, you're all in this small crypt room, and one of Gaspari's guards has a torch that he is lighting the room with. So not
Okay.
very dark currently.
Okay, good. So Elle's just kind of looking around super nervously, and she's on the verge of a nervous breakdown currently, because she hasn't really explained to you guys what she ran into, but that is the closest to a very vividly murdered person that she's ever been.
Right.
This isn't a book. This isn't a story. This is real. This is real.
This is
Rotna's
very
going to put a hand
real.
on her shoulder.
She is she is looking at her hands, which I assume have some residue of blood on it. Just, that man was dead. They stabbed him with this, and like she'll just kind of realize that she's holding it with her other hand. With this, I don't know why I grabbed it. Why did I grab it?
You were panicking.
Is that a Velvet Guard spear? Is it sort of like obvious it was from one of the guards, or is it?
Yes, it's got like the red and gold tassels on it.
And Jerry, seeing the spear, will have a sort of have a brainstorm, and he'll say, you know, De La Huerta is it's hard to pin down where she's going to be at, but Lord Krenel's normally and Lord Krenel's pretty. Maybe he's easier to find. He's obviously in cahoots with her more than we ever thought. Maybe he's her weak spot.
So what? You're suggesting we sneak our way past the entire Velvet Guard into the heart of a active manhunt for us?
It's the last place to look for us.
There were 2 guards that saw my face. And I'm not exactly what you'd call conspicuously dressed or looking, I suppose. And she'll kind of like, she's kind of trying to like center herself, like with whatever bad humor she can muster up at the moment.
And Jerry will just say, well, Elle, welcome to the cellars, where it doesn't matter what you look like or whether you're in trouble with the law or not.
And her hair's still kind of all in her face and everything, because she's a mess right now. And then she's like, this is a lot. It hasn't even been 24 hours, and I went from owning a bookstore to being on the run from the law. This is a lot.
Ron is just gonna nod at that.
On the run's but always better than caught.
And being safe is better than being on the run. I think we need to find ground right now. What do you say we track down Jack? Maybe get a little bit of cover for the time being while we let the heat die down.
Yeah, I think it's good to find a safe place to plan our next steps. And maybe it's best if this is where we split ways, Gaspari. I'm sure we're probably better off not being seen with each other.
Indeed, Jerry. Though she has taken my favorite place from me, I have many other places to hide. And he goes, he grabs you both by both shoulders with both of his hands, and he says, we will make sure that this is the last indignancy she puts us through. Eh?
And Jerry, with the grim look on his face, will put his arms on his shoulders too, and just say, the next time we see each other, I hope it'll be in better circumstances.
Indeed. And he motions for his guards. They unlock the crypt door, and they carefully sort of wend their way into the darkness of the cellars, their torchlight whoosh, sort of vanishing around the corner.
So, does anyone actually know the way out now?
Well, first we got to figure out where we're at. Do a little bit of recon, I guess.
Who wants to be the person with the survival check?
Bastion can. Can I get some sort of boon for having the urchin background?
Yeah, sure, you can have advantage.
Beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, so you definitely can. It's very easy to tell. You're basically just under the Red Cross saber. So it's easy to sort of triangulate from there, like, oh, I need to go this way, and then this way, and then this way. in this part of the cellars, you're probably underneath some canals, so there's definitely some water dripping from overhead, sort of puddles beneath your feet. But you can fairly quickly and without confrontation make it back to Erg's Ale and Fightin' house.
Perfect.
How did that do after the Red Cross, after the Velvet Guard raid?
Indeed, yeah. So you come back after escaping from this tavern from the Velvet Guard before, and you. It's certainly much less populated than it was before. It looks like only sort of the die-hard guys are here. But I mean, like any feature of this city, Erg is still behind the counter, though he sort of has some bags under his eyes. If he sees you come in, he looks sort of surprised to see you back here so soon.
Yeah, Bastion will hop up onto one of the bar stools and wait and say, "Hey, Erg, long time no see." Just kind of give a uneasy smile.
Oh, Bastion, I didn't think you'd be back so soon.
You and me both, Erg. I'll spare telling you about the last couple days, but how's everything going around here? How'd you fare after the Velvet Guard kind of raided the place?
Well, better than some, I think. A couple were driven off. A couple handful were taken to the kennel. So I managed to escape, a few gold pieces here and there. Old Jack sort of set me up. Good, worked his magic, keep this place running.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I know what we do with that old Jack sometimes, much as a friggin' bastard skis bag as he is.
Funny you say that, because I'm feeling the exact same way right about now. You know where I can find him?
Says, "Oh yeah, stay in the back as usual, Poem."
Hey, thanks a bunch. Sorry about that. Again, we actually just ducking from the Velvet Guard right now. They tend to keep following us. We'll, try to keep a low profile, stay out of your hair, make sure we don't kind of bring that kind of crap down on this place again.
This time, I think I'll stay out of the back and keep watch.
Probably good to have a bit of muscle hanging about. I wouldn't fear too much, though. Lightning don't dare strike in the same place twice. That's what they're saying.
That's what we're hoping.
Unless, of course, you are Caraxus's henchman. In which case,
Disciple.
lightning strikes you a lot. Anyway, indeed, you go into the back room, and Jekke's not in the hot tub this time.
Thank God. Bastion immediately
yes.
looks relieved.
The hot tub is empty, and Jack is actually sitting at a desk in the corner, sort of quill in his mouth, chewing it absentmindedly. He sees you come in. "Hey, Bastion!"
Hey, Jack. Beautiful.
What a great photo. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Nice.
What are you, boy?
Oh, by the way, Runkna is keeping watch for flying eyeglasses.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Hmm.
Perfect.
And he goes, "Hey, Jack. It's been a minute. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind doing me and my friends a little bit of a favor."
He says, "Of course. What you need old Jack to do?
You see, we're currently on the run. It seems the Velvet Guard has their finger on our pulse, and they're looking to drag us down. Uh, it appears to be kind of a mob thing going on, but we're looking for some ground to get under our feet. I was wondering if
Hey,
you had any safe places that we could shack up for at least a little bit until the heat dies down.
he says, hey, you and me both. He says, seems every hour someone coming in. Oh, Jack, can you give me a place to hide? Hey, Jack, a favor I did for you. Hey, Jack, oh, Jack, oh, Jack. Everyone's wanting old Jack to keep their butts clean.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's only so much old Jack to go around, but I can do something for you, Bastian. You know I always can do something for you.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'll let you in on a little bit of what we're up to. We actually just came from a chat with Olga Spari upstairs.
Holy shit, no way.
Yeah, we're knee deep in it. I'll tell you. We're talking about giving some trouble to old De La Guerra, seeing what we can't do to rough up her operation a little bit. Maybe take some heat off you, especially from the Velvet Guard. Turns out that she's in pretty tight with old Krenel.
You don't say.
That's what we hear, at
Gods.
least.
You're back in town for, what, 3 days? And you got the whole city guard breathing down your neck. You got 2 of the biggest gang bosses friggin' fighting over the city.
Hey, man, I'm in here. All I want is a little bit of heat off a nice little innkeeper up by a nice little barkeep up in Orez, and let me tell you, it's causing all sorts of trouble. I'm not looking for it, but boy howdy, it's finding me.
Okay, well, Jack knows a thing or two about getting trouble he don't deserve, eh?
Yeah, I hear you.
Anyway, yeah, I can help you cool down. He says, I know a gal. She's I think she runs the Windblown Wanderer tavern up in the Great Market. Can hang low there. Tell old Jezebel I says hey.
We'll definitely do. We'll try and keep our hoods up and our heads low as we, duck for cover. But I appreciate it a bunch. You take care. Keep your head low. Try and stay out of trouble.
He says, as I try always to do, my friend. He sort of like looks up from from like the ledger he's writing in, and he sees, hey, where's your big cat friend?
You know, I actually have some good news to give you. We managed to sneak into the slaver warehouse and get a sister out. They're actually well on their way back up to Kimara.
Oh, you don't say. Well,
Like I said, it's been a wild couple of days.
he says, well, anything I can do for you else?
For now, not really, but let me tell you, Jack, I owe you some big. I owe you a big favor at some point.
You should do. I'll be sure to come collect when I need something done, eh?
Hey, and I'll be here to pay off. Guarantee it. Bastion will extend his hand out. And...
Yeah, he shakes it and says, I don't want to have to spring you from the kennel if I need a favor from you.
God's willing, you won't have to.
Just as you're finishing up with Jack, Rachna, as you're keeping watch out in the tavern proper, yeah, you do. You see what you are watching for. There appears to be a cracked pair of round spectacles, just kind of come floating into the tavern.
I'm gonna give it a quick nod and open the door to the back for it.
And just as you're finishing up with Jack, Sybil, just sort of like as you're turning around to like leave the room, your glasses just sort of like seamlessly get planted on your face.
Oh, thank goodness. And she like, as soon as her glasses hit her face, she kind of like straightens herself up. She kind of seems almost like composes herself, and she'll pull her hair back up, throw it in a messy bun like it usually is, and she's not gonna smile, but she looks more put together. Whereas before, she'd just kind of been like with her hood, or like I guess her cloak, her shoulder cloak, kind of like thrown up over her head, so that she just blended in as best she could, even though she's wearing super bright colored clothes.
So, like, we're just standing there and we just see her like glasses just floating in the room and planting on Elle's face.
Yep.
What? That's crazy. I guess Jerry would just he wouldn't want to interrupt the. Is this sort of while the conversation with Jack is finishing that this is happening?
Yes.
So Jerry would just sort of like just take note of it as something to bug Elle about later.
Oh yeah,
But
Bastion has a list of questions, but I'm sitting on them for right now.
I should also point out Elle's acting like nothing happened because she's also still got a million things going through her brain. So this is normal for her.
Right. Yeah, so Bastion will turn around and be like, good news, guys. Looks like we got a destination. Oh, you got your glasses back. I'll ask about that too later. Cool.
Yeah, I got him back. She's still pretty like, she's composed, but she's still like, all right, okay, so we're going to stay at this tavern, right? This Windblown Wanderer, right?
That's the current plan.
I think I might actually sleep in the bed tonight. Oh gosh.
Shit. Bastion's gonna walk up to Erg and be like, hey, would you happen to have any like spare clothes or anything that I could buy off you? I'm not sure how much they know of what we look like, but we're not exactly the most conspicuous folk, as you know.
Oh no, Faint left with the entire clothing store.
Yup.
All your free clothes are gone.
Yup. I was like, hey, who sold Faint? Damn it.
Yes, Erg has some, just like sackcloth pants and like, white sort of beer-stained tunics.
Sure. I'll toss him like 10 gold for a lot of them.
He happily hands you like a big sack full of like old smelly clothes.
Right. And Jerry's like monk robes.
Is there anything that doesn't look like it was cut out of a potato sack in there? I mean, how close are we to like the stables and
Sorry
stuff,
about that, guys.
Aaron?
To the stables, you are actually pretty close. Maybe like half an hour.
Well, I have spare clothes in my carriage. I've been moving into it, for lack of a better term. If you guys don't mind, we can stop by there real quick, kind of get a feel of what the city looks like right now, too. I assume that an attack on a business isn't exactly inconspicuous.
Especially during the festival days.
Right.
Oh, I'm not. I'm pretty okay with that, but I still think we should, at least cover up our current clothing, try to stay as low profile as possible.
I mean, is there a cloak in there or something? I at the very least, I can make it not smell terrible.
How much of Rokna can the Cloak of Elvenkind cover?
The cloak can be pulled around. Can be pulled around your chest and like your upper thighs, but it'll leave like from your knees down exposed.
Okay.
Jerry will sort of go to Rachna and just say, I mean, maybe. And does Rachna have like a pack he's carrying around?
Yep.
So maybe try packing the armor in the backpack here. I mean, if you sort of pack it carefully, you can fit it all in there.
He's gonna just look at his pack, then look at his armor, which is fancy and sticks out all over the place.
Well, if we have to, I've got room in my carriage, and we could stow it there at least until the heat dies down. If you're comfortable with that.
I'd prefer to be wearing armor. Is there a cloak long enough to cover my entire body?
Bastion goes through the bag of clothes and kind of, pulls out and manages like what he can and tries to like see if we can't fashion together enough like cloaks and just raw fabric to kind of cover everyone up.
Yeah, like there's definitely some like pants that are like 3 sizes too big that could fit over your greaves.
Okay, and if need be, I can take my helmet off.
Hmm. Okay, so you guys can get everyone disguised to a good standard. You think it looks very inconspicuous, and your plan is to head to Elle's carriage.
Sounds right to me.
Seems so.
So this is probably the last thing we'll do tonight, but I do want to get to it tonight because I think it's gonna be good. So you guys make your way through the cellars. It's eerily quiet. You don't see anybody down here. Usually there's like the occasional beggar or something, but there's no one. It makes your passage very easy, but a tense one. You emerge about half an hour later. The sun is set. It's about like 10 at night. to the outer wall of Valdore, where the stables are, and sort of poking your head up out of a manhole, you do, Sybil, see your. So, is it a carriage or is it a wagon?
It's more or less a carriage, like it's enclosed entirely, wooden walls, not massive by any means. It's about probably 10 feet long total. It looks like it'd be the kind that you'd sit one on each side, like, if that makes sense, like facing each other, like a passenger's carriage.
Okay. So there's like doors on the back.
Yes, just on the back. Think like essentially it's a smaller version of a caboose.
Okay.
But
Okay.
except it's got one window on each side, and then the carriage seat in the front. But it's very ornately like decorated. It's got carvings all down it, like the frame of it, leafed in with like gold. It is gaudy, but it's exactly the kind of thing she'd ride in. So it's like it's got this like little back porch on it. Like I said, think caboose. And so she jumps on. She's like, "Give me 1 second. I'll be right back." And she opens up the door, runs in, closes it. Probably a little longer than you guys would like. She comes out, and she looks much different. Her hair has been braided at this point, kind of like braided around her and down one shoulder, and she doesn't have super long hair, but it's just enough to where it's like it's kind of resting on her shoulder. Her glasses are, though still busted, are sitting straight on her nose, and she's wearing a about knee length, pretty tight, like a pretty fancy looking like ornate blue dress, and she's smiling and she's like, "Oh, that's much better." She's still got her belt on though, and on the side of her belt she has her journal kind of like holstered, and she's carrying a sack with her essentially all her writing stuff and her actual carrying sack. So,
is your dress like a navy blue or like more like a bright blue?
Probably bright.
Bastion was just like, you look lovely, but do you have anything a little bit less, I don't know, showy?
Maybe. Hold on. She'll kind of look like she's like you look lovely. She's like, and then like you say that, and it's like, oh, that's right. That's why I forgot we came here for this. Yeah, no, I'll be right back. And she'll come back out probably about 5 more minutes later, and she's wearing essentially like a pair of poofy, like the brown poofy pants, tucked into like riding boots, and she has a white blouse on, and kind of a very buttoned up look to her. She's still got her satchel and everything. Is this normal enough? I think, right?
It's perfect.
Okay. All right.
But Bastion, while you're here outside the wagon, you kind of get the sniffles.
Oh, good. Interesting. So yeah, Bastion's like sniffles. I start watering a little bit. He'll kind of like start moving away from the wagon a little bit and kind of like trying to like test his bounds to find out where this magic might be coming from.
Yeah, once you get maybe like 10 feet away, it sort of subsides. And even when you were near it, it wasn't surge-worthy, but just
Sure.
noticeable.
Sure. Bastion will definitely take note of that.
If Bastion wants, he can roll an investigation check to look at the carvings on the frame.
Sure, let's do that.
By the way, I noticed your glasses are cracked. If you'd like, I can use mending on them.
Bastion doesn't see anything. Well, I don't know. It wouldn't be hard to see. Inside of the engravings, there's small, like, sigiltry, but you probably wouldn't know what it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm sorry, Aaron. I probably just I felt I went DM mode and I didn't mean to.
Nah, it's your shit. You can go
Okay.
for it.
So as she takes a second to realize that Rachna said that to her, and she's like, oh no, these they actually they won't mend. Funnily enough, also they're hand blown lenses and everything, so we don't want to mess it up. It doesn't really impede my vision that much. It makes everything look more fun, like a kaleidoscope, you know.
All right.
She looks like she was expecting much more of like a response to that, and then whenever you give it to her, she looks visibly relieved. All right, well, on to the tavern then, right? Yeah.
Onto the tavern. And
Okay.
Bastion will take the brown sackcloth cloak that he has over top of his red cloak, throw his hood up, and head out into the night, I guess.
The last thing we'll do, you guys managed to get to the Windblown Wanderer. It's like a medium-sized tavern by the Great Market, which is now totally dark and empty. There is something strange about all the festival decorations, though. They seem to stand in sort of stark contrast to, I guess, what went down at the tavern tonight. For as much as the festival is, seemingly a time of happiness and frivolity amongst the populace, you're maybe getting the feeling more and more that something bad is brewing in the city. But you check in at the Windblown Wanderer, and indeed, the old proprietor Jezebel is there, and she understands Jack's note to her. She says that she's pretty tied up, with the festival, and that she only has 2 rooms available for the 4 of you, and only 1 bed per room.
Jerry would just jump right in and just say, I'm used to the floor. One of you guys take the beds."
Bastion says, I have my
I'm
cloak.
all right either way.
If it's not a big deal, if I pay for your guys' room, can I have one to myself?
So Jezebel's like, "Oh, no payment necessary."
Well, if I pay you guys, can I have one, please?
It's no problem with me. Like I said,
No problem.
I have my
Don't
cloak.
need to pay us though.
And Jerry will say, "It's no problem, but Elle, you mind having a chat over breakfast with the 3 of us?"
Sure. Very hesitant looking. May I ask what about?
Well, it's good to know who you're traveling with, right? And might as well get to know each other a little bit, right?
Even better to know who you're going to be fighting with.
Yeah, I suppose. At this point, the last 48 hours have warranted at least that.
But we've had enough for the day. Maybe we'll talk over some breakfast here in the morning.
That's fair enough. And she'll kind of give a very soft smile, and unless anyone's gonna talk to her now, she'll probably ask where the room is and turn in for the night.
Lovely. I think everyone probably does the same.
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent. And so, with our heroes now on a vendetta for a multitude of reasons against the nefarious Five Knives gang, running for their very lives from the city guard, fugitives in the city that 3/4 of you once or currently call home. We will end tonight's session on that note.
Nice.
Good
That
game.
was a
Such
whole
a good
shitload of fun.
session.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yep. That was fun.
We also, oh god, we covered so much ground this session. Jesus.
I have 2 full pages of notes just from this session.
I wrote down French fries at one point.
Okay.
I don't know that that's the most applicable note.
The last thing before Windblown Wanderer that I wrote was Jack seems sketchy, but he might just be that way.
Yeah, I think that's just how he rolls.
Oh man, that's a
whole-
crazy bit of story we got going on here. Holy
Right.
shit!
Yep.
Oh God, so much. There's so
Wow.
much.
Elle's really
Symbol's
cool.
good.
I like this. I like the whole character that like the players don't know anything about. It's really sort of fun. The whole interaction, trying to figure out what the hell you're doing over there, Spark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Symbol's probably going to have to tell us about the whole warlock thing at breakfast.
You don't know what she has to tell you and what she doesn't.
Yeah,
Considering Rotten is going to ask, so, are you a warlock?
Well, see, that would require a whole knowledge to whether or not warlocks are technically a thing in this world.
He's
Also-
a cleric.
Also, that would require Sybil to fully understand the fact that she's a warlock.
right. I like how the pact with the demon came up when we were talking about Blackstone's father, and we're like, you don't know anything about pacts, do you?
I know nothing about PAX.
She wasn't lying.
Yeah, true though. Yeah.
That's why I didn't roll. That's why I didn't ask her to roll. I was like, I was
That's
like,
cool.
she doesn't. Oh,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
yeah. That was my biggest.
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing about Faint was like I wrote in a backstory for him, and I was so disappointed that I just essentially dumped it all out in one go. I was like, I like stringing along. So I cleared it with I cleared most of this stuff with Aaron though. So
Very cool.
Most.
Yeah.
Also-
so dope. Most. Yeah.
also I don't even know some stuff like me as like JB Spark. I don't know some stuff about this. So
Cool. So, is everyone okay for next week, or are we going to do the week after?
I'm down for next week. I cannot do the week after.
I am good for next week as well, if you guys are.
I'm good for next week.
Yes. I think I'm also good for next week. I think.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
Yeah.
date.
If anyone can't make it, make sure to tell us.
Cool.
Yeah, of course.
We are very efficient communicators on this group.
Yes,
Yep.
Possibly the most efficient schedulers of any group I've ever played with.
I
Yep.
agree.
So far.
Yo, you want to play this Sunday? Okay. And then we all play. It's pretty damn easy.
Yeah.
And it's not even super late. That's the best part. It's only 11:15 here.
Yeah, just after midnight here.
9:16 here.
Yeah, this is a good stopping point on my end. Before when we hit to the 1 a.m. mark, that gets a little rough on those that work in the morning.
Right.
Yes.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to keep that in mind for sure.
Also,
As I say, we got through one whole day in one session.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
That's right.
2 sessions
only that-
technically. The first.
we also. Sorry.
Okay. Technically 2 sessions. The last session started out the day in my ice cream into potatoes.
Oh no,
Yeah.
we woke up. Remember,
Yeah,
we woke up.
you
yeah.
woke up at the beginning of the
yeah,
session, and then
that's
you
right.
went to bed at the end.
Yep.
It's like symmetry.
Yeah, starting with potatoes.
Wow. Yeah.
So like, also if you think about it, it's so cool because we got so much character development out of Jerry and Bastion both, and then Rachna has had a whole turnaround. It's everyone like's character is completely different than the character they started out with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I love. Like, it's so.
Yeah, Jerry went hook, line, and sinker for what Gaspari. I have no idea, like as the player, whether Gaspari is genuine, but like Jerry's like all in with like believing Gaspari is actually gonna do good. I don't know if that's the case though.
Yeah, Bastion
Which-
has a lot of thoughts this episode, which boiled at like towards Gaspari. It's like, you know, I'm a big fan of the whole of the whole, you know, for the people thing. But like, if he was for the people, then why is he running protection rackets on innkeepers?
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm for the idea, but we might have to take you down.
Yeah. Rachna is suspicious but willing to listen.
This sums it up. I wrote Gaspari seemingly isn't that bad? Question mark.
Yeah, basically.
Oh man, cool. Well, lots to think about for next week.
Absolutely.
What we all ought to do is after this wraps up in some way or another, share all of our notes with each other just to see what we wrote.
Ah, I don't take notes.
Oh,
Mind like a steel trap.
I
I'm
just
the-
have a page of names, basically.
those are notes technically.
Kinda.
Like, when I take notes is entirely dependent on my character. Like, I'm playing in another game, I'm playing a completely like self-obsessed bard who doesn't pay attention to basically anything. I have 0 notes for that game.
Rachna is not smart.
If this tells you anything, I have more session notes from this campaign than I do from the campaign or session notes from the campaign I'm running.
That's,
Oof.
wow, that's impressive.
Nice.
No. It's sad because like I don't keep session notes per se on my campaign, but I do have to write what happens. So it's like I look at sessions in this game and I have like 2 pages on this session. I have like a page on the last session. I have,
Right.
like, and then it's like I look on my thing and it's literally just a bunch of sticky notes stuck onto one page.
I basically have the sticky notes thing right now. I have Inigo Esperanza, Raymond Gaspari, Carmen de la Guerra, and something about the Lord of the Nine Swords, Vermin
Oh.
Kane, Old Faden the Cleric, Vance Shadowstep, Rachna, and Clengeddon. That's it.
The Lord of the Nine Swords or whatever his face is the dude that owned the airship.
Ah, right. That's why I have him there.
Yeah,
Okay.
the guy you'll probably never see again.
Write down names.
I take the worst notes. I just have in the middle of the page gold and black doublet. I think that's
What he was wearing?
it's like the worst note ever.
This will be so important.
And I wrote down cheese curds and
That's
gold and black
very all right.
doublet.
Whoa, let's be clear. That's very important.
And I have that the one guy was bald. The guard at the door.
Wow. That's awesome.
So,
Those are the notes you open back up, look at it, and like, what was I talking about?
what does my brain think is important? Oh God, help us all.
I still have the name for the green dragon, Aderon Thraxus.
Nice.
Nice.
I do somewhere. It's definitely in my
I
notes.
It's somewhere. I don't know where.
My thing is just a notepad file, so I have to like scroll. Like, I don't have it broken up by pages or anything. Just like every new session, I put a bar of dashes and just start the next set of notes.
Nope,
That's
I do
exactly-
not have the dragon's name written down.
Well, I can give it to you. Not that you need it.
I might need it at some point.
Oh, Templeton Blackstone is apparently Maxwell's father.
Yes.
All right, let's see. I have my contact list, all of the characters and everything. I have the Ragged Daggers were the group that attacked that were running the shakedown on the Blue Moss Tavern, which I also have. Finnegan was the thug that we let live and told to forget everything ever happened. We have Toffle Glibwizzle, the gnome girl, and Pilla, her mother, in the Azure Glades. Vert Hollow, Maxwell. I have the whole dream thing. Faint rolled a 1 for bacon.
Oh.
That's important.
What's funny is I was looking through it, and it's just in the middle of one of the things that I just wrote. It's like session notes. Bastion goes shopping. I think that was the episode whenever I stole all this stuff.
Probably. Yep. Adoron
And then just next to it, Fate goes, air quotes, shopping.
Massive air quotes. Shadowfens, Templeton Blackstone. I have Arava, Faint Pseudo Dragon. The Seer. Bastion becomes a magical sun.
Also, he was spewing pink bubbles. We have to remember that.
Vomiting pink bubbles. Because I
Spewing,
rolled that
vomiting,
shit twice.
same difference.
I goes face surfing into pit.
Araymon is the blind street beggar that we cured the dude's blindness.
He still rolls around in a cart though, right?
Yeah, just for old times' sake.
I guess we didn't cure that
Yeah.
part.
I don't have anything to cure broken legs or lack thereof.
Said Bastion
Don't have
looks
great-
like someone he knew, which is still interesting as fuck to me.
All right, guys.
Also,
well,
we
I'll
never
talk
did
to you.
learn about
I'll
the
talk to you all
dreams.
soon. I'm hopping off. Have a good night,
See
all.
ya.
Yeah, I need to do the same.
Hi. Bye bye.
Have a good night,
Bye.
guys.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
And stream, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. Have a good night, guys. Get some sleep. Bye.